Welcome to the late night show with Kate and Alex and Sean as our Paul Schaefer tonight. Real quick, we are here to talk some AEW Revolution. Plenty of returns, semi-debuts / returns with Ronda Rousey. Will Ospreay's back. Texas Death Max on his birthday, MJF's birthday. He's out here bleeding for the love of this game. But speaking of the love of this game, we've got Sean Rossap and we've got Alex here. Sean's going to run down some scoops before he goes to bed, way before Alex and I will be tonight. But get in your super chats, get in your humper chats at humperchats.com, and please leave a thumbs up on this video. I think tonight I can confidently say we're going to earn it, okay? We're going to be on here late talking about some AEW here. We need those thumbs up. We need your moral support as we are going through this. But we, of course, had a loaded scoops thread today. We had who was going to be there, who wasn't going to be there. Sean, why hear it secondhand from me when the guy who does the reporting is right in the middle of this little Kate and Alex sandwich we got going on?
Got to be real. This is my ideal review show scenario right here, is me appearing on the top of the show and uncorking.
That's your ideal scenario?
Yeah. Uncorking a gooey, frothy load of scoops all over our beautiful audience from FightfulSelect.com. Please subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it.
But
listen, so some of the things we had mentioned, the Kenny Omega thing, he let AEW know months ago he was not going to be able to wrestle on this show. He was either going to be able to be there very late last night or early today. Obviously, he made it. We always said there was a possibility of him appearing on the show, but him preparing to wrestle is like a completely different beast with him in the physical condition that he's in these days. And that's just the reality of his situation. They are going to be doing another Swerve and Omega match, I think probably pretty soon, maybe this week, next week. I wouldn't doubt that something like that occurs. That match was considered for Revolution, but Kenny did let them know, and they made the pivot to Swerve and Brody King, which they were very happy with how that ended up turning out. But Omega is like immediately back in the fold and will be wrestling in an upcoming Dynamite. I have no idea why people were still spreading around that AJ Styles could appear tonight. I don't think that he has made it any more clear that he's not doing that. He's not going to AEW. He's not signing anywhere. He's not wrestling anywhere. It's not happening. So obviously that wasn't going to be the case. Lots of discussions about Kris Statlander's contract. I haven't heard anything updated on that. Listen, I would be surprised if they gave her a pinfall over Thekla at all if she was leaving, but I saw that rumor emerging, but nobody that I talked to had heard of anything. We also had put in our scoops thread, Mercedes was not going to be back tonight. She did drop another title this weekend. Joel Pearl hit me with a nice note, and he's like, keep your eye on that Winnipeg date because she's going to be around that week, probably dropping a title. So it would make a lot of sense for her to show up then. AEW, very happy about the gate, very happy about the attendance. They're seeing a lot of positive trends. They were also very happy about My AEW and how that performed. Some of the HBO Max stuff did not perform as well. There were some audio sync issues specifically with Apple devices, but I was told that's on the Apple HBO end, not the AEW end. But the My AEW service is definitely an international play. Of course, you boys are going to tell you to get nordvpn.com/Fightful and then subscribe to My AEW, where you can get all the pay-per-views for $120 a year. It was fun watching Alex discover all of this as the ad read was unfolding. That was really great. But thus far, My AEW has been very positively received. There's some people on ROH that I've talked to that seem to be pretty excited about that service. I'll elaborate on that probably this week on Select, but for obvious reasons, more people internationally are going to be interested in watching My AEW than ROH generally. Switchblade did what he always does. He trolls. Every time I've got to, you know what? Bless the man. Because there's sometimes I go into these pay-per-views and I go, do I have enough for a scoops thread? And then there comes Switchblade getting his 600 retweets saying, you guys ready? I told you guys this on January 5th, I think, when Ospreay and Hangman showed up there, or Ospreay and Switchblade showed up in New Japan. After that show, I asked, okay, what's their status? And somebody said, Ospreay will be back before Switchblade. They were right. Ospreay was back tonight. We had reported this week he had been working out in the ring. A person that I talked to said, because I had mentioned something like, oh, is he going to have to change up his style? And they said, not based on what I've seen in the ring, brother. And then tonight, we saw that he, in fact, did not switch things up. Tatovic, who we had reported quite a while back, had signed like around Halloween. She had her first match, I think, on Collision. She was also backstage. She's backstage at AEW quite often. So, like, that isn't a rarity or anything like that. Don Callis, I had put this in the Scoops thread, but he didn't appear in like the first couple of matches for Don Callis family members. Not only was he there, as we saw later that evening, he attended a meet and greet for VIPs in disguise. It was like a VIP Q&A in disguise where he asked really dumb, like, Mark questions. And people were like, get a load of this fucking idiot. And then he did a big reveal on the stage where he took off his mask, his like Mark costume. It's kind of wild. Interesting note. Nobody in AEW that I spoke to would confirm that Ronda Rousey was signed. So it might just be a promotional tool for the fight. She has actually had a pretty solid relationship with AEW. And it's funny because she didn't have like a huge, great relationship with the current regime. Like, she didn't like the Triple H regime either. But I know some of that was because she was one of the early people that called out Bruce for being a conduit for Vince when he was gone and all that stuff. Like, she did put that out there, but she does have a good relationship with AEW. I had people say, oh, I bet they were embarrassed by that reaction. That's the reaction they wanted. That's just how that works. But nobody would confirm that she was signed. Freddie Prinze Jr. was at the show. Comedian Jeff Dye was at the show. Wayne Brady went backstage and hung out after his spot as well. He did not choke any bitches, from what I understand. Takeshita. Gosh, I got something in my throat. Hold on. Apologies. Takeshita, I believe, was busted open hard way. That was at least claimed. And the Andrade girl was singer Paula Deonda, I'm told. So there's that as well. Interesting note, while my bookie didn't have the betting odds up for this show, I'm pushing them to do it, I promise. Elsewhere, Don Callis family were the biggest favorites on the show. So if you even bet like the $25 limits on some of this stuff, oh boy, were you taking it home for Mystico and Jet Speed, which I love their gear as well. And also, we have full review from me up on Fightful Select right now. I reviewed it as the show happened. I got to be honest, it's kind of addicting doing that because my head's going to be on a pillow in about 7 minutes. I'm heading to Las Vegas. Before I hop off here, please subscribe to Fightful Select. I'm heading to Las Vegas. I'm going to be staying at Circa, where they are doing Circa Mania this April. Denise Salcedo, who just had her first live show, and it did very well. Congratulations to Denise Salcedo. You can see her live show in Las Vegas on Friday during Mania Week. Friend of Fightful, Chris Van Vliet, will also be doing a live show. And then our friend Naomi Rosenblum, who I plan on interviewing this week while in Vegas, has a free art exhibition on Wednesday, and she's raffling off, like, it's super dope, Cody Rhodes painting that she's doing, Las Vegas themed. Check that out. It's all over our socials. It's on her socials as well. Circa Mania. I'm going to go explore the lay of the land, but man, it's almost 1 a.m., guys.
It is almost 1 a.m. We do have a couple of birthday friends in the chat before you get out of here. Love for Boo saying AEW pay-per-view for my birthday.
Happy birthday.
What an
Happy
awesome
birthday
gift.
to him.
And Josh G, who always says these MF spit, and it was his birthday too. So happy birthday to him. And just confirming kind of your earlier notes there that a lot of people are having good experiences on my AEW. My AEW is 2 for 2. Jamie Apps of Perio Magazine saying it's been a great viewing experience from Australia. So good early returns. I hated the camera work tonight. These fan shots were
Yeah, there were a lot of them. There were a lot of
enough.
them. Yeah, some of them in the main event I could get behind, but there were a lot. I did like the blood splatter on the camera at the end. How they didn't wipe it off. Like that was a guerrilla decision. They were like, keep it.
Happy accidents like Bob Ross. We love that.
Yes. Well, Sean Ross is going to hit the bricks. I appreciate you two. And what I will say is better you than me.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, Sean Ross Sapp is going to hit the bricks. And he's going to do it on a Helix sleep mattress. And we're going to play the ad all about Helix sleep mattress. And then we will get started with our show.
Oh, that sounds good. Okay.
Let's rock and roll with that. But
all right.
Helix Sleep, long supporter of Fightful, genuinely something that Sean is going to lay on right now. So take a listen.
I want to tell you all about our friends over at helixsleep.com/Fightful. I've been using Helix since before there was a helixsleep.com/Fightful. A few years ago, I needed a new mattress because the one that I had just wasn't doing it for me. I wanted to invest in my sleep because that's ideally where you're spending at least a third of your life anyway. I found Helix, all their great reviews, and their online quiz that matched me up to the perfect mattress. And they had all kinds. They had ones for plus-size sleepers, ones that cool you down, ones that align your spine. They find what's perfect for you. And right now you get 27% off any purchase, plus 2 free dream pillows for a limited time using the code FIGHTFUL, plus a free bedding bundle with a Luxe or Elite mattress orders. That's a $330 plus value. I've got the Dusk Luxe. I'm on my second mattress, actually. I got another one for the guest room in my house. I felt very confident with that because there's a 100-night sleep trial. There's a limited lifetime warranty, shipped, assembled in the U.S. If for some reason you don't like it, they will come and pick it up for you. HelixSleep.com/Fightful. Invest in your sleep. Invest in the mattress that is spoken highly about, not just by Fightful, by GQ, by Wired Magazine. Go check out all their options and match up with the perfect mattress for you.
HelixSleepMattress.com is supporting us for a long, long time. Sean genuinely, during the COVID days, was getting his mattress there. But we are getting your chats here. Tim McFowle saying, I needed a distraction tonight, and boy, AEW delivered. My grandmother passed away today, just a month and a half shy of her 101st birthday. She lived a very full life and went peacefully, so can't ask for much more. Love my Fightful fam. Well, we love you around here. I'm so sorry for your loss, but if you have to lose someone, those are the best circumstances. It sounds like someone could go under, like a very, very full life and not in pain and peacefully. So I'm so sorry for your loss, but I'm glad that it sounds like there's a lot of life to be celebrating there. And this is maybe one of my favorite chats we've ever gotten. I work 12-hour shifts at a steel mill, and that still doesn't feel as long as that pay-per-view. They really don't even try to get this under control, and it's abused when they're on the West Coast because they're like, oh, we've got all this extra time to play with in this time zone. It's brutal to be starting a post show at 1:15 East Coast time. They don't really care about people that have to start post shows, and they probably shouldn't because there's not that many of us, but I'm one of them, and I would like to complain about it.
Do they care about any of their fans who have to go to work in the morning?
Yeah, especially on a Sunday.
Like a Sunday is filthy work. You got to, if you're going to do one of these and say it's going to end at 1 a.m. Eastern, you got to do it on a Saturday. Like you just do. So
they were like, we're out kicking the Oscars. Forget them. Yeah. Them and their speeches and their music.
That's right. So this is unfortunate because we're usually behind the paywall to do these AEW pay-per-view reviews, you and I. And back there, we usually have our specific clientele that is used to me and the way my brain works. And there's a whole bunch of people here who aren't. And I'm really going to disappoint them because I did not like this show. This show was engineered in a lab to piss me off personally. And so it's going to be very hard for me to be objective about a lot of the booking decisions. Well, up top, I will say amazing work by the individuals in the ring. Just amazing. They're all fucking amazing workers. They're so great. They're all of them are awesome. I just feel like I did not agree with most of the calls on who won, and that incredibly negatively affects my enjoyment of a show. Is where I go, why did that person win? That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why you would do that. And for the next match, whenever that happens, the first half of it, I'm still grumpy from whoever won the last match. And eventually the great people in the ring snap me out of it. And I go, okay, I'm enjoying myself again. And then Tony Khan's like, haha, this person's going to lose. And I'm like, what? And that's just me for the entire show. And so I don't have as much fun. There have been lots and lots of AEW pay-per-views where I come in here and I'm like, I would change like two things, but everything else was amazing. This was not one of those nights. It's the other way. Like two of the things I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And everything else I'm like, So yeah, this is going to be a rough one for people who just want to hear how great the show was.
I'm a little more mixed on it, and quite frankly, I'm delightful. So you guys are a treat, actually.
Yeah. I'll kick it to you. And I have, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And this is going to be mostly Kate talking.
Well, if that was true, we just wouldn't have a show on Tuesdays like a lot.
That's true.
But Alex, I'll explain the biz to you as I did a couple weeks ago because I'm just a little more smartened up than you. That's all.
You are. You know a lot about the business.
I love being condescending guy. So we're gonna have some fun tonight. But get in your super chats and humper chats along with us. We will read them kind of as we go along. I will read this from Greg Cherry, who says, "Great show, fantastic matches, lots of fun graps. I don't know why the crowd had so many close-ups. That honestly really zapped it for me a lot of times. Like these, when they cut away to things that were happening in the match, so I could watch one individual be like this in an 8K camera where I could see the pores on their forehead. Like I just didn't need that. But Greg says, just got power after 2 days. So your boy is tired. Hard pass on syringes. We'll talk all about that. Love you and good night. Good night, Greg. We thank you for supporting us. And we have this from Clear Air E, who says top 3 matches of the pay-per-view.
Well, Andrade and Bandido.
Yeah, that was I think my favorite.
That's gonna be that might be a top 3 match of the year when all's said and done. Swerve and
Brody had a ton of fun with.
Yeah, Swerve and Brody. I hated the winner so much. Moxley and Takeshita was great, but I can't fathom why you wouldn't have Takeshita win. So, but I mean, like there was some really good stuff in here, and like also like an amazing match. But the trios title match was amazing, so great. What? Why even? Why do what you like? Why? What is happening? So like that's my thing. Is like I would say, we'll get to this point, but I'm like, that makes sense. Put it on these 3 fan favorite baby faces so they can get murked in like 2 weeks by the dogs. Because obviously you're going to put the dogs over the Darby Allin trio because you wouldn't want to cut the legs out from under the dogs right after they all got together. That would be insane. But then they did that. So now I don't know what's going on. I'm not in the best frame of mind right now.
See, I had the same thought process, just at a lower decibel. That's all. Takeshita and Mox do have a special in-ring chemistry, I will say. Like so from just an in-ring standpoint, I really, really love watching those two work. And I was glad to. I'm also glad they didn't abuse the lack of a time limit stipulation. that made me happy that they didn't go so overboard with that.
Yeah. We started out with the 0 hour. At some point before the kid is in college, their 15 minutes has to be up, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think they're just going to be a trio, and they're going to get a title shot. They're going to beat the Dogs next week, I think. The Rizzler and Big Boom and Big Justice.
Listen, I'm all for Rocky Romero eating a spear from a 14-year-old. But Shane Taylor should have just, like, what are you doing? The kid should have bounced off of him and they should have power bombed him. And then that kid would never try spearing anybody again. You know what I mean? So Boom and Doom win. Great. Can we never do one of these again? Please.
Are you just not going to talk about Wayne Brady?
Actually, you know what? Here's the deal. This was on my phone, 5 feet from me in my periphery. Wayne Brady, Nigel McGuinness kept yapping about Wayne Brady for most of the night. I had no idea why he was making a reference to Wayne Brady. Of all people, why are we talking about Wayne Brady?
In Alex's world, he was like, is the rest of the cast of Whose Line Is It Anyway? Yeah. No, Wayne Brady's out here taking bumps. Wayne Brady said, deal or no deal. I'm out here. I'm a worker. So I have no problem with this kind of stuff on a pre-show. Like, this is perfectly fine.
Sure.
I will agree that, like, just on the whole, Shane Taylor Promotions, I feel like, is wildly underutilized. Like, I think Shane Taylor is Eddie
really
Kingston, Kevin Owens, whatever level promo. Like, I think that guy is so great and one of the most natural talkers in wrestling. Lee Moriarty's ridiculous. Like, this trio is one that could step up into a trios division if you're going to actually have a division. So on the whole, I completely agree. Like, those guys definitely need to be utilized. At some point, you got to ask when the Costco guys are getting a title shot, man. Like, they are undefeated on pre-show main events.
I mean, here's if you're gonna insist on doing, what you're doing with the tag titles. Along the way, just, hey, you guys are undefeated, so Boom and Doom versus FTR for the titles on an episode of Collision. Let the match go 3 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, just do it and get it out of the way, because you book these guys to win every friggin' match they're in. Eventually, you're going to have to give them a title shot.
They're why the rankings have gone away. They were like, this team just throws a wrench into the entire philosophy.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, for sure. So we have our first fantastic example of hubris winning the day or losing the day, depending on how you judge hubris.
Sure.
This was Willow being a big dumb idiot and being like, we've got a tag title match scheduled for the pay-per-view for the main card of Revolution. Lena Cross, you're gigantic and probably really hard to wrestle. I am challenging you to face me for the TBS title on the 0 hour. And so then we have Willow versus Lena Cross, and Lena Cross targets her left shoulder and beats the hell out of it. Willow sells it like a champ. She's screaming and wincing in pain every time anything happens with her left shoulder. And then she ends up beating Lena Cross with her new finishing move, the backslide. That's two matches in a row. She's won with a backslide, and then afterwards, Megan Bayne shows up, and she and Lena Cross beat the hell out of Willow, stomp on her shoulder, and I wonder if that will come back to haunt her later in the evening.
I do appreciate if you're gonna have someone work double, and in this case, have two people work double. That like. You can't have them just wrestle 2 matches. Like, something in the first one has to affect the second one, even if it is a pre-show match. So for that alone, I think that's good. This audience also hasn't had a chance to see what Lena Cross can do. She's very talented. based out of Australia. I got to see her when she was working some independents in the Jersey area, and I was like, she is tall and very talented. Her and Mina do have to have like a cool hair on a pole match though, because they're both rocking the same face framing highlight. So I feel like only one gets to have that.
It's a hair versus hair match, and instead of actually shaving your head bald, you just have to change your hairstyle.
Yeah, you just have to this part.
You just have to change your hairstyle. Sorry, you can't use that anymore.
It is I get why they had to do it this way, but I was kind of like, it would have been cool if they just saved Willow versus Persephone for this match and like had Persephone do something in the in here, but I'm glad people are getting to see what Lena can do. She's a special talent.
I think if you were a double champ on big shows, you should be forced to defend both titles.
Okay.
You know, I mean, this to me is like, oh, you have two titles. You have to defend them both. They're titles. Titles should be defended on every show. On every big show. On a pay-per-view. The problem is when you have 27 title belts, that becomes a very long show. But ideally, you wouldn't have that many. You understand? You'd have, less than half that many. And then all of the big matches on the pay-per-view would be involving a title. And if you have more than one of them, you have to defend it more than once. Just seems obvious to me.
I would be cool with that if they didn't just remember that they had one of those titles. It feels like they remembered it just for this angle. But I wish she had just defended it against Persephone, and then Persephone targeted something on Willow, and Lena and Megan were smart enough to be like, Persephone softened her up, like we should whatever. But this was perfectly fine, and it's a pre-show match. People got to see what Lena's capable of. That's great. That's fine by me.
Yeah. The 21-man Blackjack Battle Royal for the AEW National Championship. As soon as they announced this was happening, you knew exactly who the final two guys were who were going to be in it. And that was that. However, I cannot understand why you did. You have a whole bunch of also rans in there. But you also have some, fairly important people. And a lot of people did feel like they were, we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. But it did feel like a lot of people were eliminated without plans for the eliminatee to feud with the eliminator.
Sure.
And that, is something like Daniel Garcia in there ripping the mask off of Commander and then wearing it for a second. I'm like, are we going to get Danny Garcia versus Commander matches? Probably not. Maybe on a Collision. They don't have Rampage anymore. That's where you would do a Danny Garcia versus Commander match. You would do that third match on a Rampage. So, sure. But he is eliminated by Tommaso Ciampa, which is just Ciampa getting revenge for Danny Garcia beating him earlier. I don't think that continues. But the thing that I thought was going to continue, because listen, Tommaso Ciampa was really good at cutting promos. So he convinced me that he had moved on from the TNT title and now he was going after the national title. And when you say, okay, we're going to have Jack Perry win the title from Ricochet, which is what happens at the end of this match, to me, the last three guys in the match are current champion, new champion, and the guy the new champion's going to feud with, which means it should be Ciampa. Ciampa getting eliminated by Jack Perry when there's only three guys left, that pisses off Ciampa. New guy, Jack Perry, immediately Ciampa goes after it, because what do I want? I want Ricochet to be away from this title and away from Jack Perry, for the love of God. We've seen enough of that. So Ricochet can go off and do something else, but now you need somebody for Jack Perry to feud with, and it should be Ciampa. However, Ciampa was eliminated by Juice Robinson, which does not feel like because if you get feuding with Juice Robinson, you're also feuding with four other dudes. And I don't feel like he doesn't have a whole bunch of guys backing him up. That's his whole thing with Ciampa, is he's a lone wolf now. So I was like, oh, well, I guess Juice Robinson will, because it was the last thing that happened before they switched from the 0 hour to the main card. Like they switched over to the pay-per-view thing. It was just Ciampa getting knocked off the apron by Juice Robinson. I was like, oh, I guess Juice Robinson will have a lot more to do in the rest of this battle royal. By the time it switched, and went to the pay-per-view and all the pyros going off, Juice had already been eliminated. Like, that just feels like a giant waste of what you can do with Ciampa, because you made Ciampa feel so special when he showed up. He's been there for a month, and now he feels like another mid-card guy. And I feel like you could keep him at least a special mid-card guy as opposed to just a dude.
Luis is in business for himself here. Instead, it's El Clone. We get it. Okay. You want to be national champion.
I would love it if El Clone would be wrestling for any title and winning it, because I'm a big El Clone fan. The problem I have with it is I don't want to watch El Clone lose 4 matches to Jack Perry.
Well, so here's kind of the good and bad of it for where I'm sitting. I don't think Jack Perry needed to go through this like 21-person battle royal to beat the guy he's in a feud with already anyway. Like, I don't know why they couldn't have just done that in like a one-on-one stipulation match. It feels I don't think that's the purpose of battle royals, is to have the guy that you've been feuding with for months now just win anyway. That being said, wrestlers getting paid is good. I'm just saying, if wrestlers are getting a payday to be on the show, good for them.
That's why they did it this way, for sure.
What I also like about this is I feel like the trios division is kind of sneaking up as being an actual division again. And Ricochet and GOA in the trios division, I think, is something that would be fantastic. It's something I've been rooting for since before the national title existed. Like, I would love to see that. Happy for Jack Perry to hold the title. My concern is that, like, it's not going to be ambassadorial. Like, I've been saying since this title's inception, which was not that long ago, so I'm not beating the drum that hard. But, like, to me, a guy like Lio Rush, who has wrestled all over the world, who would be a great like AEW ambassadorial wrestler because he's ridiculous everywhere he goes. Like, that guy winning and going to New Japan where he's already been established, going to CMLL, like all these places, putting on the matches he does would be amazing to me.
I forgot about that because I'm looking at a rundown of people who were officially announced for the match before going into tonight, and he was not one of them. So Lio Rush has a new character now. He is not one half of Crew. He is now Gollum. They called him Gollum on commentary. He's got wacky contact lenses. He was running around the ring on all fours. Before he ever got in the match, Tony Schiavone started screaming about, "There's somebody under this table. Guys, there's somebody under this table. It's Lio Rush. Lio Rush under this table." I'm pretty sure, Tony, they wanted to have the reveal of him in the match not be you yelling about him under the table.
Yeah.
But when he got in the match, he was doing a lot of Lio Rush stuff, but he was also like definitely not the same character that he was before. Hey, he's bald. He's bald now, which means apparently now all the AEW fans are going to chant bald at him, and you know that's a choice. But he was doing a weird, spooky character like years ago before he came to WWE. Maybe this is an offshoot of that. I'm interested to see what you do with this guy. I think Lio Rush is maybe one of the most ridiculously talented, never got his full due type wrestlers ever. And so I'm very excited to see what they do with it. But it was jarring, to say the least. So yeah,
he to me is like the closest thing we have to Rey Mysterio modern day, like the way he moves. And I just think for what they said the title was intended to be, he would be the dude for it. But yes, that was a very weird character direction. And we have this chat from Ben Simmons 211 who says, "I know Alex wanted Ricochet to win, but I think his reign is over. I would like to see him and GOA go for those trios titles and win and see a more serious Ricochet after that nice promo on Collision." Yeah, I think everybody's rooting for GOA to not be background characters to Ricochet and get to feel like a big deal. And the trios title is a great way of doing that.
I had no illusions that Ricochet was winning this. You did it in LA. You had Jack Perry cut the promo about how he's in this building where he fell in love with wrestling. He's in LA. It's his hometown.
He has
He's
a
doing
new
it.
Jurassic bus.
He's got a new Jurassic bus. He's got a dead dad to look up at, like the whole thing. You know what I mean? I knew he wasn't losing. I just wanted the feud to be over. This is my thing about this, is that it had been going on forever, and every time these guys got in the ring with each other in a multi-man match, we watched Jack Perry pin Ricochet, and then whenever they had an actual title match, we watched Ricochet pin Jack Perry. And so my thing is this: if you're gonna have a Jack Perry win the title from Ricochet at a battle royal, then you're probably going to have a one-on-one rematch because I wasn't pinned for my title, right? So he gets a one-on-one rematch. And the thing of it is, to me, if you're going to do that, the reason you also do that is because we need definitive closure. We need to see Jack Perry pin Ricochet's shoulders to the mat once and for all. The problem is we've seen that 6 or 7 times, as the kids do.
Right,
Like that,
7.
like, so I feel like you didn't need to have him. If you were this was how you were gonna have him win the title and then do a rematch, probably where you have him pin Ricochet, almost certainly. You didn't need to have him win all those matches by pinfall over Ricochet, because this was going to be the definitive end. But I don't know anything, so I should probably just shut up.
Listen, you know some stuff, but I don't know if I would take your knowledge to put money down on the things that you know. That would be.
I wouldn't do that. I don't do that. I don't bet on the things that I think, because the things that I think never come true.
Well, that's true about wrestling, but I would take your knowledge of floorball up against anybody else.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I do win a lot of money on floorball.
I'm ashamed to admit this, but I lost my house on floorball, and I've been trying to get it back, but you should bet responsibly, okay?
Yes.
And I've learned from my ways.
Only bet what you can, and only bet responsibly. Yes.
Yes, exactly. But you can bet on pro wrestling. We're working on getting my bookie up to speed on maybe getting some AEW odds for you guys to bet, but you can get some bets up. My bookie AG is the place to do it, and we're gonna let Sean Ross Sapp tell you all about it, because I got enough yapping to do the rest of the show. All right.
At my bookie AG, they say that you can bet on anything, anytime, anywhere, and they mean it. NBA, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, UFC, pro wrestling. But that's not it. Motorsports, golf, tennis, darts, cycling, cricket, handball, floorball, rugby, snooker, volleyball, table tennis, cycling. Yeah, you can bet on it at MyBookie AG. They got the best support system in the business. We only want you to bet what you can, and please bet responsibly. But go take advantage of being able to bet on anything, anytime, anywhere. They got live esports. They got racing. They got everything at MyBookie AG. And right now, get a $50 bonus when you deposit $100, or a $100 bonus when you deposit $200. You can bet with Bitcoin and play their great casino games as well. MyBookie AG.
Guys, I have to admit something. I never lost my house on floorball. I was just doing that for the bit.
Okay. All right.
Because I would never not bet responsibly with my bookie AG. But I would trust Alex's knowledge of floorball. And I will read this chat from Raquel, who says, "Hi, Kalex. Like, you're exhausted, and all the tickets go on sale in a few hours. My AEW was perfect. My favorite pro wrestler, Will Ospreay, is back. Have a great show. Kate Lovians." Well, thank you so much, Matt, for the support. And yes, we had a few returns. And Will Ospreay was one of them, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But
we will. We did have some other returns. Orion Ben says, "I may not agree with the decisions, but kudos to all the talent. Bless all these performers for putting it all on the line. The young future is bright." Well, let's talk about the old present, because the old present decided to show up at the end of this match. Now, listen, the Young Bucks, maybe they weren't Make-A-Wish kids. Maybe they were just, their own children. But if we've learned anything from John Cena, Young Bucks, is that you can't do an entrance with a bunch of cute children wearing your own merch, because then you're destined to lose. I'm sorry. Apparently, those are the rules. I don't make that rule. I would probably go in the opposite direction, because I feel like if you're going to have a bunch of kids come out, they'll be like, wow, we're so excited to watch our favorite wrestler win his match. Well, you don't just then book those wrestlers to lose. But they did. The Young Bucks came out with literally all of their children and a few the
youngest Bucks.
There, the youngest Bucks. This was not, as far as I can recall, this was not a lot like their previous matches with FTR.
No, and I liked that. It felt like a fight more.
Right. It is. I want it to be different, but probably this would be not near the top of my matches of theirs with FTR, because a lot of it. Let's be honest. To me, it's always going to be the law of diminishing returns. When you watch the Young Bucks and FTR fight each other for the first time ever, there is a moment where you go, holy crap, I never thought this was going to happen. And then they go out there and turn in an amazing match. We watched them do a ladder match where there's so many amazing spots that they set up and things like that. That's a car crash, all that kind of stuff. Some of the stuff that they do, okay, we didn't win the first time. Here's the rematch. Like it becomes things like this. This, I was like, I don't think the Bucks are winning. Where all the other matches, they felt like it might have been 50-50. This one, I feel like the Bucks had the challenger, let's say, had the least chance of beating the champion going into it. And then all the kids showed up and I was like, well, you're definitely not winning now. Them's the rules. So I'm watching this and it was, they went against type. Like a Young Bucks thing where like, okay, well, Nick Jackson gets busted open and immediately they're like, okay, now we're gonna try and survive this. You know what I mean? And they pull it together and they do amazing spots, huge things. Stokely gets up out of the wheelchair. Thank God that bit is dead because it got tired for me 2 weeks ago. But it was a lot of fun while it was good. But for me, I was like, okay, we've seen it. But now, okay, so that he stood up out of the wheelchair. He got caught standing up in the wheelchair. He got knocked out of the wheelchair. He was celebrating on his feet, walking around, so we know he's not actually wheelchair bound. How? They hit something crazy. Was it it was the Meltzer driver, and Dax kicked out. And they were like, okay, let's try it one more time, but this time from the top rope. And one of the Bucks got knocked off, got crotched. The other guy got reversed. They did a big, they did the big stomp pile driver assisted thing. Then the other guy got crotched and went back up there. And then they did a giant avalanche shatter machine.
Yeah, that was my favorite spot.
And I was like, okay, well, that's at that point, you can call it a day. You don't need to be kicking out of an avalanche shatter machine. So the Young Bucks lost, and I was like, okay, fine. So the only thing I want to happen now is that we get the Rascals or Private Party or literally any of the other tag teams that you have who are under the age of, I don't know, 75. And those tag teams should beat FTR. Adam Nopeland is what I call him, because that is my reaction every time I see that dude is nope.
I see what you did there.
He's back. He wants revenge. So saith the Titantron. He comes out.
First he wanted evenge, but then he remembered he was rated R.
First he said even, as though like I'm gonna get even, and then he said evenge, and I was like, that's not it. And then they put the big R thing. The rated R. Superstar. And then they did Christian's music, and he came in from behind with Mace, and then hit a
not from Retribution, just to be clear, like actual mace, not like mace must say, like actual
pepper spray.
Yeah.
And they hit an unprettier or whatever he calls that thing, the kill switch on Dax. They did a spear on Cash and they beat up Stokely and then the Young Bucks were there and they looked at Copeland and Christian, and people are saying TLC match, and I'm like, can we just get all of it over with? I just whenever you're going to do this, can we get it over with? If you're going to put the titles on Copeland and his friend in a turtleneck, can you just do it? And so I want to listen. If you put me in a medically induced coma tonight, wake me up on the day they lose the title belts. I don't care how long it takes.
Turtleneck is crazy.
I listen. I will never forgive Adam Copeland for showing up and being like, I'm gonna be the world champion, and then feuding with Moxley for 4 months. It was the worst 4 months of the Death Riders title reign. Absolutely.
Well, get over it. He went away. He's back now, and they're gonna do something different.
Well, they're not, because Adam Copeland is not capable of doing anything different. It is the same thing all the time. Old Edge is the same all the time. I like Christian when he's not around Edge.
First of all, I loved this chat as far as Stokely goes. It was a miracle, though. You soulless human. God bless. Stokely walks again. I'm so glad that all the funds that he raised went appropriately allocated to something that would cure him.
That's true.
I differ with you here. I really liked this match quite a bit. I think I just had a better appreciation than you did for the fact that they
this is literally just taste. It's just taste. Like
totally fair, honestly. But I prefer to sound condescending towards you when I talk about it. So please leave room for me to be an asshole to you.
Good. That's good.
I think we just, you know what it is? I don't think you understood what was going on in the ring, Alex. I really did like that this felt like this is such a long-term feud, and this felt like such a fight, and like Nick getting split open I thought was great. And I am also a near fall perv. You know that about me. And there were some really, really good near falls in this.
Near falls, yeah.
I agree with you. Maybe it's not my favorite, but it was so different than what they've done before that I'm like, that's kind of the best you can do under these circumstances. And I really appreciated it. I don't really have a problem with somebody. You are extremely consistent in how much you do not like older acts coming back for titles for the sake of nostalgia. And I appreciate that about you. I don't mind this, especially when it's like in a different company, people getting to have like their one last run with it. And I'm not saying that I like it, but I'm saying I have room to be open to it being really cool. Sure. And they have some big Canada shows coming up, so I'm sure we'll get a TLC match up there would be my guess. But they both can still go. I don't disagree that the top of the card being clogged with Adam Copeland from match after match, but I don't put that on him, and I definitely don't put it on Christian. I just think it stunk. But I'm open to this like kind of refreshed thing. I kind of figured that this was going to happen too. I do think that maybe the titles don't need to be mixed up in this for it to be special. Yeah. But I also understand the mentality around choosing to do that. Like, you're probably going to crown them for one last like major run. And if they help younger teams along, that's cool. I just don't want to see them face the Young Bucks individually and then FTR individually after this. Like, if they're going to win, then have them start to face these younger teams that are up and coming. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. But I did really enjoy this match, and I was glad that it felt like sometimes the middle of the book is is good. You know what I mean? And it's not the most exciting part of the book, but it's really, really good stuff. And this feels like the middle of the book between these two teams. I'm not mad about that. Was there a chat that I saw? No. Okay, sorry. We can move on from this because we've got a lot of wrestling to talk about.
We do. So here's the deal. John Moxley and Takeshita had a time limit draw on television a few weeks ago, and the idea was and the point was made. The next time we do this, there's not going to be a time limit because we're not going to have. There must be a winner, and on pay-per-view, the 20-minute time limit for the Continental title becomes a 60-minute time limit. And so to me,
40?
60. It's 60. I looked it up.
Okay.
It's 60. I thought it was 40 because 40, I'm like, okay, there's a chance that the match could go 40 and then you wouldn't get what you wanted. But they're not doing a Broadway. They're not doing 60 minutes. So you could just have it be a regular Continental match on a pay-per-view where the time limit is 60. The match went 23 minutes. Like, we don't need this match to be this night of wrestling to be 40 minutes longer. But if you take away the time limit from a match that has a 60-minute time limit, you are obligated, I think, to go longer than the time limit would have been. So that's my problem here. If you say, well, the time limits on Continental title matches, whenever they are contested, is always 20 minutes, then I say fine. But if you say, well, on this specific event, the time limit would be 60 minutes, and now there's no time limit, it's a weird thing to only do 23 minutes. That's my brain hating me and making me think about that the entire time I'm watching this match, because the match was brilliant. The match is fantastic. Takeshita and Moxley have an amazing chemistry. Takeshita coming in with that big mouse under his eye from his match with Claudio added to it. That got busted open, which was really cool. A lot of really great stuff here. Excellent. Like, I'm going to hit you with a giant thing. You get up immediately. You hit me with a giant thing. We're going to do a lot of that in this match. It was really, really good. Kicked out of the raging fire, Moxley did. And when it happened, I was like, well, that seems silly. The first man to ever kick out of the raging fire goes on to lose the match where he does it. That just seems a little silly, but obviously Takeshita's winning, because why would you do the match? Okay, anyway. Takeshita ends up passing out in a choke. So he didn't tap out, and he never got pinned by Moxley. So he still says, like, I'm actually the better wrestler because he beat Moxley in the Continental Classic. And then there was a time limit draw, and this time he did not tap out. He did not get pinned, so there's still some leeway there, I suppose. So my thing is that the match was amazing, and you now talk about everything about the match, and we will talk about the guy showing up afterwards separately.
Sounds good.
Separately.
These two just have a really special chemistry, and there's like, the old saying is like, styles make matches, but there's also something really special about guys that just like speak the same language and understand. I'm not going to go through like spot by spot, but what you mentioned about the hammer was something that was of note. But like, every time these two get in the ring, there's a really special chemistry, and I feel like the same was true for Takeshita and Claudio, and I also want to see that happen with Pac. Like, I'm salivating for that match when it's able to happen. As far as it not, I would be so much more bothered by the time stipulation thing if this card didn't have 13 matches on it. In theory, I agree with you. In practice, I didn't give a shit because I was like, if this goes too long, we're gonna be starting at 4 a.m. instead. But you're right. I do feel like it felt earlier like we were starting to solve the identity crisis of how many belts there were around AEW by giving them personalities. Like the world title started to feel like the grand prize. Champa hot potatoing to Fletcher felt like the TV title could change hands anytime. Continental title felt like it had like Renee introducing it and it had these cool stipulations around it. But then it's like you waive the stipulation. I am just perplexed by the outcome because I feel like, are we ever going to get to Okada and Takeshita? Like I felt like Takeshita winning here would have been a really good call, and then you could have Okada and Takeshita unify the belts again. Or if Moxley was gonna win, I certainly didn't think it was going to be clean. Like I thought we were gonna get things moving on the Don Callis family side of stuff. But it was pretty clean. like from so like the match with these two is always breathtaking, but for just like, okay, and then the babyface wins clean when there's so much going on with the relationships, certainly of the Don Callis family, and it feels like we're waiting for something crucial to happen on the Death Rider side again, because right now it just feels like they have an anti-hero leading them and the rest are heels. Like it's just a very weird dynamic.
Oh, it's very true.
For too much longer.
Yeah.
But I mean the matches between these two are always incredible. Takeshita's just like you feel privileged to be on the same timeline to watch this guy wrestle, and Jon Moxley is just continually the ace of the company. Interesting that in this like anti-hero world, there's a lot less of him getting busted open. Like he's bleeding a lot less. And on a show that had enough blood otherwise, I felt like it was actually kind of a nice reprieve. But the ending confused me here. The match itself was, I thought, fantastic. And we can talk about the bruvness.
So here's the thing. Takeshita stopping Hechicero from attacking Moxley, the simple thing of when Hechicero wanted to hit Moxley with a chair, I think it was on Collision or something, and he's just like, no, I don't need it. I can beat him. You having Takeshita straight up say that and then booking him to not beat him is a bad decision to make, to me. You have Takeshita say,
Bret Hart both, baby.
I can beat him. I don't need your help. I don't need you to cheat on my behalf because I know I can beat him straight up. And then you book that guy to lose. That is not a good decision to make as a booker. That's a bad decision to make as a booker. You don't have to have him say, I know I can beat him. Especially when you're doing a whole thing of like Takeshita being the one decent dude in the Don Callis family, refusing to cheat, like having this thing with Okada, going in there and saying, I know I can beat him. Like that is like symbolic of who he is and why he's different than all of his other cohorts. And then you have him go out there and just lose. That's a bad decision. Objectively, I don't think you can defend it. So his thing now is that afterwards, Moxley wants to shake his hand. He doesn't want to, but he does go back in and shake his hand. And I guess that's good. Now, Takeshita should win. Why? Because then he and Okada and Fletcher all have these belts for the Don Callis family. And Fletcher he's somewhere in the middle. Like he respects Take, but he's also part of this thing with Okada. I mean, they're not the champs anymore, but that hadn't happened yet. So like if him and Okada are 1/2 of the trio's champions, like, okay, I trust him now or whatever. This whole Okada trying to pull Fletcher away from Takeshita, but they all three have these belts. It's very easy to have this whole thing come down to Okada and Takeshita hate each other. Fletcher is caught in the middle. Somehow a match is made where they're all three against each other. maybe all the titles are on the line and we merge all of them, because you could tell me we're going to consolidate 3 belts into one. I think that's a start. So like that'd be great. And like that works only if Takeshita also is the champion. Now, the only thing about this that possibly leads to something is Okada making fun of Takeshita for losing to Moxley. But like Takeshita already hates Okada, and Okada already hates Takeshita, and this doesn't really change any of that. The thing also is that the thing that we're now getting for the Continental title doesn't need a title attached to it, because it's not about a title. It's about getting revenge. Because the guy that shows up after a Incredible Hulk style Wolverine coming out of the pod thing, I don't know.
That was really sick.
It was very cool. I'm not really sure exactly what comic book it was aping, but we see a slickly produced vignette for Will Ospreay, and then he shows up. He takes off the shirt. He runs down. He destroys some people with some giant back elbows. The sling. The what's it called? A hidden blade. I was going to say switchblade. Switchblade is a different person. That guy didn't show up tonight, but hidden blade. He does a double Pele kick. Takes out Pac, takes out Yuta, takes out Eddie Garcia. Wants to take out Moxley. Moxley is able to escape. He's coming back because Moxley and the Death Riders are the ones who caused the neck injury. And so he wants to get revenge for them putting him on the shelf and maybe ending his career. Perhaps paralyzing it. So that is all well and good. However, the guy you are coming after now is fundamentally not the same guy who ordered the hit on you. All of his friends are the same dudes, and that's where the storytelling becomes a little confusing. Moxley now is a dude who just wants to fight, who understands that Takeshita is an honorable man and wants to fight him in an honorable way. They shake hands afterwards. Takeshita's a good dude. He and Moxley shaking hands signifies that Moxley is a good dude. So Ospreay coming back to take out Moxley feels like it's just bad timing. I understand why you want to do it, but it muddies a lot of the waters. But a lot of the waters are extra muddied because if Moxley doesn't have the title, then it's just about revenge for Ospreay. But Moxley does have the title, so are we putting the title on Ospreay? I guess so. But everybody, and I mean everybody, wants Will Ospreay to be the world champion, not the third most important mid-card champion. We want him to be the world undisputed champion, not the U.S. champion, not the Intercontinental champion. We want him to be the biggest thing possible. Him like hanging out around the Continental title doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Match was amazing. I'm so happy Ospreay's back. I get why he'd be pissed at Moxley. This feels like you got to write a lot to get to a point where the story is going to make sense. And I cannot stress this enough. Takeshita needed to win this match.
We have a couple chats about this. Tim McFowle saying, but Alex, a certain Brav is back, and my God, he's sexier than ever. 12 out of 10 pay-per-view for that alone. The thirst in the SGS Discord was real. He also, when COVID happened, he went from like skinny high flyer to like guy who put on 20 pounds of muscle. And it feels like this time he was like, I have a compromised neck, so I'm going to do shoulder day every day for the next like however long he was out. He looks in phenomenal shape. He does not seem to have adapted his ring style at all.
No. I
agree with you on the booking that Takeshita not winning seems off. I also agree that baby faces shouldn't make promises they can't keep. It does diminish it. I am of the Bret Hart school of thought in that. As far as Will coming back for Moxley, I'm actually a little bit more optimistic and interested than you are, because I think this maybe is the thing that is like, well, what kind of man are you, John Moxley? Could be a really interesting story if they choose to tell it, of like, are you that guy or aren't you? And if you're not that guy, do your friends think you're a little bitch now. Basically, it's like something that could be a cool way to go. Having a baby face that is back is good because it's not so imbalanced, but it's a little heel heavy with now Hanger not being at the top of the card, or not in the world title picture, Swerve being a heel, like all these things, Kenny being a part-timer. So like a lot of your top names right now are heels. We also have this chat from N. Simmons, who says, I thought Take would so that they would unify the titles again. That's what I was hoping for. I get Will is back, but Taki should have won, and it feels like Toni is relying on the same 6 guys over and over in the top spot. So the one thing I will say is they've been saying for a long time that this is supposed to feel like the 1B title, and Will Ospreay winning that could make it feel instead like a US title or an international title, start to feel like the world title of Collision or whatever. But that's a big believe it when I see it, because I've been hearing that for a long time. I'm more intrigued in the storytelling with Moxley having to face which kind of guy he is. I think that's actually something that could be really cool.
Could be. I don't have any faith in him to tell that story. The other thing is that they said the thing about the world title and the 1A title. They said that about the unified title. International and Continental. That was the unified title. That was the one. The Continental title was the one they said that about. This isn't like the international title, the one Okada still has. If you have Okada have that and Takeshita have the Continental title, then you easily have a match between 2 guys who hate each other on different sides of the Don Callis family, and the winner gets both belts and you merge them together. It's so simple and so easy, and they simply refuse to do it, and so I'm mad about that.
Alex says that's not my AEW, but a lot of people have said it is my AEW. MyAEW.com, which I saved so much money on by using NordVPN. We even had a super chat about this. Mute Norma saying, I Norded my way to Lithuania for Revolution. Triller sucks. People are using Nord to access their wrestling in all sorts of ways, getting cheaper prices, streamlining which platforms they're watching wrestling on. But who wants to hear me tell you about it? Take it from the top scoopster himself, Sean Rossett.
I've told you about all the ways that NordVPN.com/Fightful is beneficial to wrestling fans. And that's just on the basic tier. It works on all devices, all operating systems, allows you to change your virtual location to appear from anywhere. But there's so many more other features. You can keep your files protected with a private cloud. You can secure your passwords with a password manager as well. They have cloud storage. They've got MeshNet where you can connect to a remote devices safely and create your own private network. They have VPN servers in 127 countries. They have Threat Protection Pro. You can block malware, trackers, and even ads when you're not connected to the VPN. It's got the ultra-fast connection, dedicated IP, a data breach scanner, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. So for some reason you think you don't like it, you can get your money back. NordVPN.com/Fightful. Head over there, check out all of their incredible features and testimonials at NordVPN.com/Fightful.
I just got up during that ad break, and I would have thought Tanahashi was in here the way I reacted. Like, I don't know what just happened with my leg, but it was like someone dragon screw. Like, I don't know. I went to stand. This is what happens when it's 2 a.m. and we're reviewing shows. But thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for chatting along with us. Keep those super chats and humper chats coming. Matthew Hook saying, Take and the dogs losing were my 2 WTF moments of the night. Yeah, I'm not. I agree with both of those, and we'll talk about the other one later.
I realized halfway through talking about Takeshita and Moxley that I had skipped over Toni and Marina. So we'll talk about that now. This was everything it needed to be to me for Marina. I thought she proved that she belonged. I really enjoy her work in the ring. It's different than anybody else in the women's division. I think that Now, do I think she's the best in the world at that style? No. But I think because she's the only woman in AEW who does that style, it makes her stand out. And if you have somebody like Toni Storm in there who's selling her ass off for all these strikes and the viciousness of Marina Shafir, then it makes sense to me, and I like it a lot. It was this was her being utilized to what she is for AEW. Toni also, by the way, it just happened on a random collision last night, the go home thing, but like her promo about the circus is one of my favorites of hers ever. It's delivered impeccably. The timing, God, she has just disappeared into this character. But I sometimes forget that she's like a 30-year-old Australian woman, because from 2026, as opposed to this 48-year-old Betty Davis like analog from 1951. The whole thing of like every beast in the circus thinks that rules the roost. They prowl around and they gnash their teeth, but when the whip cracks, they sit. And like, I mean, she's just so great. I love the way the promos just, they feel so right. I love the use of talking about Marina as though she is a lion in the circus, but I'm the lion tamer. I'm the ringmaster. And so I know how to stop this. And I also thought that Marina did a really good job in this match of doing everything she needed to do. I did appreciate the use of the man, that second headbutt, the one that Toni caught her right here in the jaw. Yeah. And Marina's a really good saleswoman. Like, she really knows how to sell. Like, that's the difference between her and I think a lot of other women who work this style, is that a lot of them don't like to sell because then it feels fake. But like, she's selling in a way that makes it look real. Like, that's probably the best thing that she does, aside from the amazing strikes. But Toni's big counter to the mother's milk, just biting her boob, is such a perfectly Toni thing, and also nobody else would think to do that. But I like that she won with her little small pack, the big package, or whatever she calls it. It's her thing that she goes to whenever she needs it. And that was fine. So talk about the match. Pardon me. Talk about the match, and then we'll talk about the thing that happened afterwards.
I really liked this. It feels like Marina has kind of blossomed under the Death Riders in a way that has. What I loved so much about the Marina in this match was not only like the way that she approached it, but the confidence and assertion with which she did. Like, she just feels, you cannot be a character that is a threat. You cannot go out there and call yourself a problem and even be 99% of the way there. You have to be 100% of the way there in believing in what you're doing, especially with a character like Toni Storm, because I feel like it's actually even more important against characters like Toni, to be the badass that she was. Countering the mother's milk with the bit tit, I loved it. I would never put another woman's feet in my mouth, but there's a market for that, well beyond pro wrestling, if those ladies wanted to retire. But I really, really liked this, and a huge credit to Toni Storm too, because this character is not usually doing this type of fight, and she made it all work. Like, that is an artistic challenge to be able to translate that in the ring. But what I do love is we've also seen her in Blood and Guts. Like, we have seen this character show up for a fight before. So it wasn't so foreign or so out of place. I really appreciated everything that we got here. The only thing with Marina is kind of like, I don't want to body shame, but like, has she ever gone like back day once in her life? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, maybe lift some weights, Marina.
You hit the gym?
Consider your conditioning in this, because it's just, I don't mean to shame, but like a little sloppy. You know what I mean? I definitely didn't see her deltoids jumping out of her skin for days. Like, such a menace. She obviously works very, very hard, and it just feels like the stars have aligned in a way that has made her, to your point, very unique in this division. I always say with wrestling, like, you're in your craft the most when you find the thing that's unrepeatable about you and you tap into that. Some of that also means the environment you're in as well. Like, how are you unrepeatable in the environment you're in? I think that she's really accomplished that here. We did have a couple of chats that said, one that says, bring in Shayna next. And then somebody, obviously, who watches us all the time, because they also said, and why not Duke as well? Because I am a Duke Hansen stan. I remain of the belief that he should absolutely be on weekly episodic television in America. But we did not get Shayna. We got somebody else. And
we did.
I imagine that this will be a smooth topic of conversation with, no controversy around it.
Yeah, no, there's no controversy whatsoever. Ronda Rousey enters the ring and points up at Toni Storm getting the, and Tony's like, oh, me? I thought she gets a big smile on her face. And then she gets out and she struts down to the ring. And it's just a weird thing. I know that she had that one ROH match with Athena.
Yeah, it was good.
But it still just feels just weird to see Ronda Rousey in AEW. And people were, I think, optimistically going, it's just to promote that fight she's gonna have in May. That's all she's doing. It's a one-off. That's all it's gonna be. Don't worry, everybody. Please, nobody panic. Because a lot of people do not want to see Ronda Rousey in AEW. And from the way that commentary was talking, it does not seem like it is a one-off appearance. I don't know that she is signed. She hasn't gotten the graphic. But they have, Toni Storm and her are having a match against each other. That is a thing that is definitely happening. They don't have Storm come down to the ring and stare at her, and then all the people that you could find backstage come out to separate them. And then apparently, I didn't see footage of this. Apparently, it happened while I blinked. But Marina Shafir got in a sucker punch to knock out Toni. So that is happening now again. We're doing that again this Dynamite. We're doing Toni Storm versus Marina Shafir, no holds barred. Toni Storm will win again. This is the thing. I didn't mind having Marina lose this match. I don't think you need to have Toni beat her again on Wednesday. Like, that just feels like we don't need to do that to Marina Shafir. But that's happening. And then we're going to get Ronda Rousey on Wednesday, furthering whatever. We'll find out what that is going to be. If it's going to be a Dynasty, if they're going to do it a Double or Nothing, how they're going to do that, I don't know. But it does not feel like she would have the match or even get really physical before she has the MMA match. So I guess that's, people said it was on the 16th of May. So that would preclude it from being Dynasty, which means we're going to wait until Double or Nothing to have this in New York. She's still, in some circles, a very big star. So they're trying to say, here's what we're doing we're trying to get eyes on AEW. Like, she's had, do you hear that?
I did. I didn't know what it was.
I believe it is a fan. Hold on. I turned it off. It was a fan that was on, and
not a Ronda Rousey fan. Clearly,
no. Yes, a big Sour Graps fan just came into my room. No. So, listen, she's said a lot of things in the past that make a lot of people not her biggest fan. One of the things that she said was some Sandy Hook trutherism, which she did apologize for 11 years later. But she's allowed to be in AEW, and Trey Miguel, who apologized immediately for a much tamer thing that he said years ago, he's not allowed to be on. So I just feel like there is perhaps a bit of a double standard. I'm not sure exactly what the double standard is, but she's here and around. So yeah. Here's Ronda Rousey's here, and she also joins in with Marina Shafir in playfully smacking around John Moxley before the match. And well, now that Ronda Rousey, says Nigel McGuinness, now that Ronda Rousey has joined the ranks of the Death Riders, I think that won't it be great for the Death Riders to have Ronda Rousey about? And I'm like, she's been inducted apparently into the Death Riders, according to Nigel McGuinness, and also Excalibur like seconded that. And I'm like, so she's the Death Riders now, as opposed to like hanging out and backing up her friend Marina. She's a full-fledged member of the Death Riders. Just feels like premature to me. But
yeah, like there are things that Ronda Rousey has said that I vehemently disagree with, and I don't mean to dismiss or sweep those under the rugs when I also balance out some of the rest of what her legacy is, because there are undeniable things about her. One, she put women's combat sports like on the map in a way it had never been before, and was the heartbeat of UFC man or woman, which is an undeniable accomplishment. The WrestleMania women's main event, I don't think happens without her at WrestleMania 30, and who knows where we wouldn't be without that, because Lord knows we've taken some regression in that regard as well. So it's complex in that way. And she's also, and I fully agree, a huge advocate for paying fighters more, because wrestlers are underpaid. You want to talk about that? MMA fighters are grossly underpaid, and they do something that is equally, if not more, dangerous. So, and I do give her, I read her apology. It was very late, and she had kind of said, and I know this happens to be true. I'm not saying it happened with her to be true, but there is definitely a public relations school of thought that is hideous of just stay quiet and it'll go away. It is so, I've worked at PR agencies. It is so commonly advised to tell you just it'll blow over. Online's not real. And there are people who genuinely want to take accountability for their actions, and they're told actively not to. It is so stupid. So I'm not saying that's the case with her, but I'm saying that is something that happens, having worked at PR agencies. It's a complex one. There's some people that are going to hate it. It does seem like AEW fans have a certain moral standard that they hold wrestlers to that's pretty high, and I personally think that's a good thing. But there is also a double standard that certainly runs within the AEW Warner relationship that needs to be looked at, because not only with Ronda Rousey versus Trey Miguel versus other people on Warner Brothers shows outside of wrestling entirely is so ridiculous. So I'm not here to tell anybody to feel certain ways or take certain conclusions. From a wrestling standpoint, I'm a little more optimistic, because I think this environment would suit her better. There was that second run, especially, man, like she just didn't look right or comfortable in the ring. And everything on the mic at that time was like the end of the Vince era. So it was awful. Like I don't think people quite understand the amount of micromanaging that was happening, of stand in the center of the ring, don't move, don't say anything that's not on the script. Oh, we have piped in audio now that you have to listen for, so make sure that you pause at the right time. It is ridiculous. So it's not as much that way anymore from my understanding. But I'm optimistic that this run would go better if she is there, because I think there's just more breathing room. And this women's tag division needs people and teams in it. So if her being in the Death Riders is her tagging with Marina, I'm open to seeing if that's going to be successful or not. I felt like she was good the first time around. She wasn't very good the second time around, and hopefully this presentation suits her better. The ROH match was really good. That's kind of where I'm at on it, and I think everybody is entitled to have whatever conclusions they want to draw about whether her apologies were authentic, whatever. Like that's totally on you guys. We get paid to watch it, so we're gonna end up watching it, and I hope that she does well for the sake of we're watching it.
True. Yes, we will see. Shayna Baszler, who's doing stuff for NXT, would absolutely rather have been my pick, but she's obviously not as big of a star as Ronda Rousey. But
get her ass over here.
I mean, she did tweet hashtag, 4 horsewomen, because they called themselves the 4 horsewomen of MMA.
Yes.
So she was watching. It feels, and I'm not going to really explain it to anybody, but the people who watch our Tuesday show it feels like Shayna Baszler chose ponytail mustache over the War Dogs. That's what it feels like to me. I'm not going to explain it. The people who know our Tuesday show will understand. But
it's like that trade meme. You get Shayna Baszler, we get David Finlay.
AEW Women's World Tag Team Championships. They did a good thing. They did something in the back where Renee went to the trainer's room. They were taping up Willow's shoulder. You good to go? I'm cleared. I'm not going to let Harley down. I'm going to go out there and do this. I'm like, well, technically you're letting Harley down by wrestling injured. And you let Harley down when you were like, hey, I volunteer to work double duty. Nobody else, no one of our other double champs are working double duty, but I decided to do this. And hubris, well, not undefeated, but should be undefeated. And so she went out there with her bad shoulder. She gave it a go, but couldn't use her left arm for almost anything, and wound up getting pinned. And with a huge choke slam by Megan Bayne. And the match was 5 minutes long. Like, I liked that they didn't drag this thing out of her in the ring trying to get a hot tag to Harley, so like for 15 minutes. It was what should have been. She decided to have an extraneous singles match for her other title on the pre-show, and she got hurt during it, and it came back to bite her in the ass. And I feel bad for Penelope, but I am all in on Megalina. Like, Jesus, like they look so good together. They're so damn imposing.
Emma and Emelina, that happened for like 2 months.
I mean, whatever you want to call them. Apparently, they were called Divine Dominion, is what Luis is telling me on this document. But
that sounds a little Catholic. I feel like I'm back in like 8th grade taking confession. Yeah, I was bummed that the camera shot at the end of this was bad. Like, it was focused on Megan and Lita got the pin. But I was glad that this wasn't dragged out as well. I rarely say that with women's pay-per-view matches. Like, I'm usually rooting for them to be longer and for there to be more of them. But this goes with the story so well. And this was such a long card that I was like, this is a good call. It feels like they were supposed to drop these titles already, so we don't need to like drag it out. And Willow letting Harley down, and I put that in quotes, is interesting. Like that could be something where maybe Willow's doubting herself. That might make Harley not a heel, but a little chippy. Like it's a good way to plant seeds of doubt with that. Megan Bayne and Lena Cross just being these two tall, athletic, kick-ass monsters. I am not mad about.
Megan Bayne and Lena Cross Two 6-foot gorgeous buxom women. One of them finishes people with a choke slam, the other with a jackhammer. 1998 me is all over this. Like, are you kidding me? like late teens, first got into wrestling. Alex would have been like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. You know, I mean, I've aged a little bit now, but there's still part of that, like that frat boy is still somewhere in here.
Have been podcasting with you for over 4.5 years. This is the first time we've ever said anything, even in the realm of I would have had a crush on. I'm usually the one like they're making me fall in love with them, and I'm a straight woman. Like, what's happening?
Selena Cross, when she won the match with a jackhammer, I was like, I'm happily married with a child, but in another life, would be sending fan
you'd be
mail.
in love with her.
I'd be sending fan mail. Yes.
They're gonna be a lot of fun to watch together. Lena's great. Like I said, I saw her around here when she was touring in America. She had a really good match with Lady Frost. She's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. Just her and Mina have to fight about the hair, and I'm not mad about it.
Yeah. Yeah, so they were billed as Divine Dominion on their intro. I must have missed it.
I don't love that.
I mean, I'm a sucker for alliteration, so I'm okay with it. They were doing things with Divine for Megan for a while. She's supposed to be from Olympus. She's Divine. Like, I get it, but
do you think her and Zarya ever met on their giant mountain?
I don't know.
Maybe that's why Zarya was trying to break through the wall that's on the mountain. She just wanted to say hi to Megan Main.
Could be. Swerve versus Brody King. Listen, this ruled. It ruled. However, it could have ruled harder, because you have Swerve Strickland walk to the ring with a meat hook on a chain. And there was no meat hook being used in that match. Well, at least attempt to use the meat hook. You brought a meat hook to the ring, like you didn't have like a side of beef attached to it. You're not using it as a meat hook. You brought it as an implement to scare people. It should have been attempted to be used. That's all. Is our
meat expert, Meat Norma, still in the chat, or did he go to bed? Because I would love to know his thoughts on this.
Yeah.
Alex wanted death. Bro, WTF, why not use it?
At least attempt to. Like, I understand you wouldn't actually
tribute. Okay.
Do it. Okay. Come on. Like, just try it. But I mean, this was great. There was the only other quibble is we saw 3 house calls on Brody during the course of the match. The first one was by far the best one. Figure out a way to do that as the finish if you're going to finish him with a house call. Because he was running for like a lunging lariat and got whacked in the side of the head. And like, you could easily have had that just knocked him unconscious. The last one being like, while he was just waiting for it, a little anticlimactic considering all of the crazy other things that were done during the match. The first house call hit made me go, wah. And I like being able to do that. So that was fun. This was great. The vertebraker on the concrete. This was where we got to. I think this was the first. This was the first Danielson match of the night on commentary. And he was just having a blast with this, but he was so angry at Swerve for doing the vertebraker on the concrete. He was like, "You can't do that! You can't do that! Not on the concrete!" I love Danielson on commentary. He's so great.
I had so much fun with this match. I don't want to go into too much detail because it's a long card and it's late, but my overall favorite thing with this was how much Swerve so assertively went about his offensive game plan to like everything that he gave Brody looked like something that would actually hurt Brody. And we get so much great selling from Brody, and we also have, because of his size, realistically, there's a lot of stuff that Brody just has to shake off and can and does, and he should, and he's great at it. But I loved how surgical, and this is a strength of Swerve in general, I think, but everything that Swerve gave him was like, just so like, I like so many of the spots like in the air. I think, was there a lariat too where he just like met him with his arm? Like there were a couple of moments where Brody was just blindsided by that house call, like you said, like, and so that was my favorite part of this match, was just like the intelligence of the game plan that Swerve had going into it that kind of threw Brody off a little bit. And it's like, to me, if the story of the match is who's the most dangerous man in AEW, like you have to also be the most dangerous man in the most cerebral way possible when your opponent is Brody effing King. So I just thought that was a brilliant way to tell this story. And this was so much just fun to watch too. Like this was a delight. And where it was in the card is where these cards can tend to drag. So it was just like very refreshing, very fun, extremely well paced. But I just, my favorite part about it was like, the most dangerous man in AEW has to mean on every facet of what that phrase means. And I feel like today Swerve showed it. Like I'm the most dangerous man with my intelligent approach to the ring and how I utilize Nana and how I utilize the concrete and all those things. Like I just thought it was really brilliantly done. Brody continues to be incredibly over, as he should. I love that they used this program to keep Brody at the top of the card after the MJF stuff. He didn't just tumble back down. Loved this. This was one of my favorite matches of the night. I had so much fun with this.
So this is where I fell victim to I worked myself into a shoot. On the Wednesday review, they kept asking, people were asking Sean, who do you think might make a return? And twice he said Keith Lee. And Sean doesn't usually say stuff that's wild and not a possibility at all.
He doesn't vote with his heart. He usually says he's heard or whatever.
He knows something or thinks he knows something. So when Swerve, after the match, puts Brody's head on top of a cinder block, and he goes up to the top rope, my thing was Keith Lee.
I had that thought too.
Because that is how the thing began with them. Is he actually stomped the cinder block onto on the top of Keith Lee, but Keith Lee has never gotten revenge for it ever. That was now, I believe, 4 years ago.
It was a real.
I was like, if Keith Lee was going to come back, this is the dude he would come back for.
Of course.
I was like, oh my God, it would be a huge response. And
I agree.
Yeah, Kenny Omega's fine too, I guess. But like, it wasn't because I was like, everyone else was like, yay, Kenny Omega's back. I was like, oh, fine. You know, like obviously the thing between them wasn't over. This is where he would come back. But Sean made me think it was going to be Keith Lee, a guy I have missed so much and feel so bad for, that his career was cut short. That it was just like, when Kenny came back, I was like, oh, fine. It's maybe the greatest wrestler ever. Fine. But yes, he came back, ran off Swerve, saved Brody King. I think that so it's to me, I've always kind of penciled in Dynasty, the show in Vancouver, as your Swerve and Kenny pay-per-view match. So that makes sense. It's happening in less than a month. So get on it.
Yeah, I had heard Sean mention that too, and I had that same thought with the cinder block because that was so synonymous with the two of them, and it's so specific to them. Like the cinder block is not something that gets used with incredible frequency. Um, I miss him, and I feel like you should sue Sean for emotional damages for bringing it up multiple times on Wednesday because
I should.
I love Keith Lee, but he's been like he's one of your guys. He's one of your special boys. I feel like
Oh man,
he
like
falls into the category.
2019 Keith Lee, like
Ugh.
the matches he had with Dijak, that the
Ridiculous.
moment, like the end of the Survivor Series match with Roman, where like he was this close to pinning Roman Reigns, and like, man, I was such a huge thing, a huge fan of.
Well,
of Keith
Alex,
Lee.
there's a lot of men who sometimes are like this close, but they
Mhm.
just need like a little help getting over the hump. You know what I mean? And fellas, you
Yeah.
know what time it is. It's time to level up. And Blue Chew just dropped something crazy. I'm talking next level championship belt, gold plated energy. Okay. Blue Chew Gold is the newest innovation from the #1 chewable ED brand. And it ain't your grandpa's little blue pill. This is a 4-in-1 beast that's setting the gold standard for performance. We're talking 2 ingredients for blood flow to keep that rocket pumping, which Alex loves to hear his pseudo little sister say and live read. It's mixed with ampomorphine and oxytocin. And someday I'm going to learn how to say ampomorphine to turn up arousal and connection with your brain and your body. Blue Chew Gold dissolves under your tongue and works in as little as 15 minutes. So whether Takeshita and John Moxley are telling you like we don't need a time limit step as little as 15 minutes, you can win a Continental Classic match on any night because you're gonna be there in 15 minutes, and that means you can get it on quicker and stay in the game longer. Elevation without hesitation. This is peak passion and peak performance in a single tablet. So make life easier by getting harder and discover your options at bluechew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with the code FIGHTFUL. That's promo code FIGHTFUL. Visit bluechew.com for more details and more important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast and making Alex uncomfortable because I do the live read. Enough about dick pills.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the show.
Let's get back to the show. So Thekla retained over Statlander because Statlander is dumb. So like that just makes me sad about this. Is like I mean maybe like the one thing that explains her being dumb is that now she's reckless and now she's ultra violent. But that means we're going back to heel stat, and I don't want to see heel stat for one more day. Like I hated the heel stat run with Stokely. It just never clicked to me. I never liked it. It just feel like I want my stat who comes out and she blows glitter in Shivani's face. That's what I want. That's my stat sweet spot. Okay. And this version of her, the Cosmic Killer or whatever, like it's been good, but because she's on the side of good, it's fine. It's okay. So she stat loses the first fall because Thekla grabs the ropes for leverage. She wins the second fall with the Saturday Night Fever. By the way, these women are great. They're so good in the ring together. Thekla,
They have really good chemistry together.
An amazing, charismatic star. Stat is like she's one of the absolute cornerstones of AEW's women's division and has been for years. She wins with the second fall. The third fall starts. Eventually, there is a ref bump, and the bowl cut ref. I don't know his name, but I always refer to him as bowl cut ref. I believe that was the guy who was the referee of this match. I think that was him. He got knocked out, rolled out to the ring. Thekla went out and took his belt off and was going to use it while he was knocked out on Stat. Stat took the belt from Thekla and decided she would use it on Thekla. And Danielson's like, she's got to be careful. If the ref comes to and gets into the ring, she's going to get disqualified and lose the third fall. And I was like, yeah, you know who else would know that? Friggin' Statlander would know that. He wouldn't do this because she's not dumb. And the ref comes to, sees her about to use it again, and takes it from her. And because she's like, no, wait, I want that back. I would like to use it on her and get disqualified. Like, it's not an immediate like, oh, yeah, here, you're right. It is like, no, give me back the implement that if I use it on her, I will be disqualified. And eventually the ref throws it out of the ring, and only then does she come to her senses, turn around and get speared out of her boots. And then she gets stomped, and then she loses. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't want Thekla to lose the title back to Stat, but I thought you would figure out a way to do something that it would protect Stat, and this to me doesn't, because it makes Stat a dum-dum, and I don't like it when the wrestlers are dum-dums. But we'll see. Maybe this is something like Stat can't control herself now, and now she's gonna be evil because she lost her title, and like. If Willow now is no longer part of the tag team, and she has to defend the TBS title, that's her thing now. You need something for Harley to do, and maybe Harley says, "Hey, Stat, let's team up again." And Stat is mean to Harley, and that's how we get a little thing, because how do you the best person to turn heel on is Harley. Everybody loves Harley. So Stat turning on her and ruining the history of them being nice together would be a good way of doing it. I just don't want to see it, because I want, again, my Stat blows glitter in Shivani's face.
Would it make you feel better if I booped you on the nose right now?
I mean, sure. Okay, thanks.
Didn't. Yeah, we tried.
We tried.
I feel torn because I want more things like this on pay-per-views. I want more women's 2 out of 3 fall stipulation, whatever matches on pay-per-views. It didn't feel like this had the legs to go 2 out of 3 falls. Like it feels like they forced this stipulation to work instead of the match just like begging for it to be 2 out of 3 falls. I think just either a traditional match or maybe a different stipulation would have done the trick here. Maybe I don't want to say overrating Thekla, but I don't think there's like a harm in losing to Thekla clean-ish. Like she's felt like such a strong champion where she's at. And I know there's a noticeable size difference, but I think a clever match ending that maybe didn't involve the Sisters of Sin so heavily, or like the belt not coming into play at the end. Like it just didn't feel like it didn't do Thekla favors. It feels like it did more damage to Kris than help her. Like it did make her not look like a smart former champion. I'm open to heel Kris. I don't think that the run with Willow was, I liked it more than you did, but I also feel like I think there's an evolution of her that's a heel that doesn't necessarily reflect like the heel Kris we saw before. I think this heel turn feels much more motivated than the last time. Like there's way more development and way more doubt in who she is now as a wrestler. Rather than it like with Kris, it felt like you're a heel, you're a face. Like whiplash a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm a little more optimistic of that because I just feel like it would be a more natural way to go about it. I also think just ring wise, she has the move set for it. So
Mhm.
I would be open to it. I don't think that has to be the inevitable outcome here though. I'm intrigued to see where it goes. I can't say enough about Thekla as women's champion in this early phase of things. Like I think she's been just so fantastic. On the mic, her character,
Mhm.
her execution was made for American Weekly episodic TV. Like she's meant for
Mhm.
this. And she's felt like the real deal. So I think it's been a good and healthy sign that people like Thekla and Megan Bain are holding gold and have been protected since they've come in so that they feel like a big deal. That's not something they were very good at in general, especially with the women's division. So I think we move on from this. I'm intrigued to see what's next for Thekla. And I am intrigued to see where this goes for Kris. I understand why people are hesitant about turning her heel because she's just so easy to root for and so much fun. So we'll see what's on the docket for her. But I had a blast watching this match until the finish, but I do feel like the stipulation here wasn't necessarily called for in a way. Like I don't think
Yeah.
this needed to be 2 out of 3 falls, but I am cheering for more women's world title stipulation matches on pay-per-views as a principle for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I like Thekla a lot. I really do. She's not the person I would choose to have a 2 out of 3 falls with Kris Statlander. You know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
all excited, right? Like just a
You know
little
what I
bit.
mean? Like it's just not that's not the thing. Like I would say, like Stat and Willow was a thing I kind of always wanted for them to be, for the not in a I hate you and I am an evil heel and you hate me back match, but like we're fighting, we're old friends. The title is on the line. Like that 2 out of 3 falls between those two would be really great.
Sure.
Stat versus Mercedes. I feel like they have a 2 out of 3 falls match in them. That's
Sure.
amazing. It's just some people are 2 out of 3 falls people, and some people are cage match people. Thekla feels like a cage match person. You know what I mean? Like it's just, and also like the Sisters of Sin running down, and like Sisters of Sin coming in and Stat allowing herself to be distracted by them when they really could not matter less. You know what I mean? Like it's just so it just.
I also just I feel like Kris is a smarter wrestler than doing a 2 out of 3 falls match for a stipulation when she could do something that keeps them out of the picture. Like
she could, and but a lot of it. So her thing was, you can't beat me 2 times.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I guess that's the whole point there. But anyway, so now we come to a listen. If it did not make sense to me when the match was announced, it doesn't make sense to me now, but in a different way. The Don Callis family, because you have Okada and Fletcher, and they don't have programs for their singles championships because the booking is bad, but they don't need a program for the trios titles. Just throw them out there against anybody, as evidenced by Jet Speed and Mystico for some reason. Like Mystico is, he's the Mexican superstar. They're in Los Angeles. There's a very large Hispanic population there. They would know Mystico. They would want to root for Mystico, but like you do this because you want to throw a 17th match on the card. I get it. You're a little light on matches. So you throw this thing in there, and it didn't make sense to me because I was like, you just do this match on a Dynamite, for God's sake. You know what I mean? Like you don't need this. This match could be on Dynamite. The other trios match, the Tornado one, that could be on Collision. You know what I mean? You don't need these things. So, but the match was tremendous because it's great. The problem I have with it is, and I am like 7% joking. This is Luchador Stolen Valor. I am not okay with Kevin Knight and Speedball Bailey wearing like lucha masks just because they're teaming with Mystico. I was like, I was like, what a couple of dorks. I was like, I looked like these guys already to me feel like really great athletic dorks. Like both of them. Like even when Kevin Knight is being cool, it feels like he's trying to be cool, and Mike Bailey's never cool. They're both amazing athletes, but I'm watching them just be dorks wearing these fake masks, and then they were wrestling in them, and I was like, no, I'm not okay with that. But also what I'm not okay with is the Don Callis family winning the trios championships and then losing them right back to 2 out of the 3 guys that they won them from, because that doesn't make any sense to me. I love Mark Davis, and I was like watching this going, man, I'm so happy for Mark Davis getting to be a champion and getting to be trios champion with his former tag partner, who's now in a stratospheric singles push, but also has time to, at least for, let's say, the next couple of months, be part of the trios champions with Mark Davis. He and Kyle were doing double team moves again. They felt like Aussie Open was back together, and they had Mark Davis doing some amazing big man stuff. He's a really great wrestler. He's slimmed down. He's slimmed down and bulked up somehow. A really great wrestler. I'm so happy for him. So of course he gets pinned. And I'm watching this going, okay, fine, I get it. Because obviously you have the dogs. The dogs are going to pin them for the trios titles. That makes sense, because the thing that made the least amount of sense hadn't happened yet. But then they show Mystico as All Elite, and I was like, oh, he wasn't? I just figured he was, but like spent all of his time in CMLL. But now, no, apparently the details of the contract are like his contract is dual with CMLL, and I saw somewhere he gets to like pick his own dates because he's Mystico. So, okay, good for him. You're muted. You're muted. Can you hear me?
Let's try that again. Alcone in the chat can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure like CMLL sold out for a year straight, basically based off of Mystico. Like,
yeah.
So that's just an incredible. It's incredible what that promotion has done with him, and it's incredible what that promotion has done on the whole. Luis said this is like tribute gear to Mystico, and that he doesn't view it as stolen valor, like an El Grande Americano, for example. But I can also understand like where you're coming from, of like, you're not luchadors, and you're not luchadors. Part of his identity.
Why are you pretending to be luchadors for one night only? That doesn't make any sense to me.
It feels like they did that so that the heels could steal all their masks. Like that was like how I kind of felt. True. But I'm more the match was super fun too. Like I had so much fun watching this. I didn't love what we got out of this for a few reasons. One, I don't understand what the deal with the Don Callis family was tonight. Like, it felt like we were building them to be the stable that has all the gold, and now it feels like we're just abandoning that idea as soon as it started. So it's just a weird call. The other thing is, like, with Speedball and Kevin Knight, it just feels like they don't, like, they were trios champions with Hangman, and now they're trios champions with Mystico because Hangman had other stuff to do.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what about them and their relationship and who they are as wrestlers? Like, it's just weird to play like third guy roulette because we need trios. Like, it's just an odd way to go about it. Like, Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey were so split, like they weren't interacting on screen for so long, and now they're champions again together. It's just a weird thing. So it's a very odd decision in my opinion, but as far as the match goes, I had a blast watching it. Like I thought it was so much fun. And I just also like, I know this is where we're headed eventually, but I'm like, I just am such a believer that Kyle Fletcher is like, you're a top of the card guy now. Like you are.
We've been waiting too long. We're waiting too long
Yeah.
now.
And I'm like, I don't want to say that a title is below anybody, but I just feel like he should be elevated very, very soon.
Or at least he should be
TNT
doing
title.
like some real work with the TNT title, not just like he finally got that Briscoe feud behind him.
Yeah,
he
the best
finally
of
got
seven
that
that turned into a best of 7 by happenstance. Yeah.
Like he's got that behind him. He moves on now. There's other things for him to do, but like I don't know. Like it's a really important story for Kyle Fletcher's career. This thing with him and Okada and Takeshita, but it feels like they're delaying it unnecessarily. The iron is no longer hot.
Sure.
You're striking a cold iron. You don't do that.
Yeah, and you don't like even a lukewarm iron is not what we're aiming for.
No,
like,
we're looking.
The iron needs
Mhm.
to be hot if you're going to make stuff.
Yeah.
This is the one plus of it, though. I will say, Tim McFowle pointing out that nobody has 2 belts in AEW anymore, which is a good thing to have.
Yeah.
I have to step away for a quick moment. I will be right back, but my dog needs me immediately.
Okay. So Mystico is the CMLL World Light Heavyweight Champion and 1/3 of the CMLL World Trios. And now he is 1/3 of the AEW Trios. So he's actually a triple champion. 2 of those titles are CMLL, but still. Yes, CMLL had 63 sellouts last year. So yes, he does move tickets, and I do understand how that could be a boon to AEW. It does feel like both AEW, let me compose myself. Both Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight are dueling third wheels for Hangman first and also Mystico. Like Hangman was like, I hate Samoa Joe. Also, Will Hobbs is leaving and we need to get the titles off of the ops. So why don't the 2 of you guys help me out and let's get the titles off the ops? And I was like, all right, fine. This one just felt like Mystico has a date free and we want to put him on the pay-per-view, but we have nothing for him to do. So Jet Speed, you want to team with Mystico? And they're like, oh, hell yeah, we'll team with Mystico. It never felt like there's no reason. There's no rhyme or reason for Jet Speed to be with either Mystico or really Hangman. Hangman was like, I don't like Samoa Joe. I need 2 guys to help me get the titles off the ops. Oh, I ran into Jet Speed. Do you guys want to help me? Like, he could have run into Private Party, but he ran into Jet Speed. And he was like, would you guys like to help get the titles off the ops? And they said, yes, Hangman, we will help you do that. Also, we drew 2 names out of a hat to team with Mystico this for the pay-per-view, and you guys were the guys. It does not feel
like they hadn't been interacting on screen at all. Like, no, so it felt like they weren't even a team, and now they're a trio. It's just a very odd thing. We do have a chat that says, correct me if I'm wrong, but is AEW still broadcast on either TBS or TNT? If not, why do we have 2 championships named after broadcast networks? They are still broadcast
yes,
on both networks, I believe, but most people just don't watch them that way.
I mean, hundreds of thousands of people watch it that way every week, but a lot of people also watch
use NordVPN and the code Fightful to watch it on my AEW or HBO Max. So
right, exactly, that's true. So Andrade Idolo,
this match rules.
Defeated Bandido. And what is the match of the night? I don't think it's even questionable. This is the match of the night. It's one of the matches of the year. It's tremendous. they built in a spot where, in anticipation of Andrade taking off his pants to wrestle in tights, to wrestle in trunks, Bandido decided, I'm going to do it first, and takes off his pants, but one of his pants will not tear away. And so as he's trying to do it, Andrade just ran up and kneed him in the face. And then Bandido instead of selling, just kept trying to take the pant leg off. Amazing stuff. And then a few minutes later, Andrade took off his pants. And Andrade was keeping that rocket pumping. Like he was packing. There's when the wrestlers wear trunks, you usually can't tell whether or not they are circumcised. But not in this case. In this case, it's right there. It was right there. It was like I feel like they normally wear undergarments under the trunks, but it did not feel like or look like, I didn't know what it felt like. I wasn't feeling it, but I was seeing it. I could smell it. My God, it was right there. But it was there. It was distracting. It was distracting. But the match was tremendous.
Chat was not mad. Oh my God. God, this match was so good. That elbow towards the end was so great. I was like,
he hit two of those things within a span of a minute.
The way it's hidden was so cool too with his knee. It was just awesome. Really, really, really good chemistry. It's so nice to see Andrade so in a groove with this character. I saw a quote from him today that I wish I could remember who it was with, because whoever prompted this asked a really good question. Andrade basically said, in AEW, there are so many great in-ring wrestlers that you have to find an alley that is special about you separate. So he's doing this fun thing with the gals in the audience and taking off his pants and whatever. But it was just a really good, because he's someone that I believe is so good, could coast on how great he is in the ring. He was like, okay, I have to if I'm coming back here, I have to find something immediately that is a differentiator character wise. Cause he doesn't have the bee's knees as much anymore. Right. So, I just really liked that he's settled into this, and the smooth guy thing is really working for him. I was in stitches at Bandido not being able to get his pants off, and honestly, such a good read from Andrade to just be like, this is taking a very long time. I have to go bail him out because he may never get these pants off. But that's what that wrestler does in that situation, and he's in there with a pro who's going to handle it right. So that was great. This was just a phenomenal match. This was also my match of the night by a mile. In ring, this was such a blast, and it's just very cool to see. We just really haven't seen Andrade consistently putting on bangers on weekly episodic television in a really long time as a singles competitor. So it's just nice to see him being used to his capabilities and also have this on-screen presentation that just feels like it's really, really clicked in and working. So this was so much fun. Bandido's incredible. These two had wonderful chemistry. I loved how clean and smooth and logical everything in this match was from two wrestlers that come from very different worlds in the same world. They're in very different spots, but oh God, this was such a blast. This was one of those ones you saw in the card and we were like, that has a potential to be a show stealer. And then they were like, yes, it is. That turned out to be it.
Yeah. And then at the end of the match, I got so angry. You're telling me this wasn't for the ROH World Championship?
Yeah.
What are we even doing? What are we even doing? Why would anybody book this if it wasn't for the world title? Why would you, if you win a book to like Bandido wins, I guess it can be non-title, but like Andrade wins, and so now you got Bandido walking around having just lost a singles match clean to, by the way, like the Avalanche DM, that was nuts. Like an amazing match, but like, this here thing, do I want like Andrade sequestered to ROH? No. But like, when they choose to, ROH talent is just on AEW TV all the time. So like, Bandido was on AEW TV all the time as part of Brodido all the time, like weekly, twice weekly. So you could easily just have Andrade beat him for this title and then be on AEW television. And you could easily have Bandido win it back in a rematch and then do the rubber match where Bandido beats him definitively, and then you move on. Like, having Andrade beat Bandido clean while Bandido still gets to be world ROH champion is just a decision I think you should not make as a booker. What an amazing match. I have no idea why the title wasn't on the line.
Because they didn't want to. Like, my thing is, like, if it's not for the title, you have to give me a reason why it's not for the title. That's it. Like, I just need a reason why it's not for the title. Because I get, now, you don't want Andrade to lose this match, and you don't want Bandido to drop the title. I understand that. But give me a reason why it's not for the title, because he's the champion. Even, like, you could so easily have Bandido just be like, ROH is in a new phase right now. We're doing these Jacksonville tapings. I'm defending my ROH title against ROH talent, and you're not an ROH talent. You're an AEW talent. I still want to take the fight to you, but this is now reserved because we're in this new, fresh whatever. Like, just do that. Right. Just do that.
Luis also brings up the 21 plex from a deadlift.
Oh my god,
it was on the ground.
Insane. This match was amazing. Like, just go back and watch it.
Yeah, it's a tremendous match. So the thing that makes the least sense. J4 Kenzie says, I understand that MJF is going to win in the main, so you don't give the undercard a bunch of heel W's. But Marina, debatable. The Raw Dogs and DCF needed those wins. The Raw Dogs, which is what we're calling them, because the dogs just isn't enough. The Raw Dogs.
Raw.
The Raw Dogs can't lose this match. Can't.
Yeah, this was the worst booking decision of the card. I
think. Can't. They are a brand new heel faction. You cannot cut the legs out from under them just to benefit Tony Khan's Darby Allin fetish. You cannot do that. That is indefensible wrestling booking. To cut the legs out from under your brand new heel faction with a big signing from New Japan. The guy chose you over his own fucking family in the other place. And here's your new faction. These guys who are also, during the match, booked to be absolute killers, but can't win though. That is shit. That's shit. You cannot do. And people were telling me that, they're going to win, and then afterwards, Jay White's going to show up, and he's going to take out David Finlay because David Finlay jumped him out of the gang in New Japan. I was like, I don't follow New Japan lore. I don't give a fucking shit about it. But like, I would say you don't do that, because what does that do? Cuts the legs out from under your brand new heel faction. And they didn't even get their heat back. Darby Allin walks past Gabe Kidd like zip tied to the under truss of the ramp and spits on him. Darby Allin, man, there has never been a dude who is owed by the wrestling gods an absolute receipt more than this run of Darby Allin. Like, the feud is over. I need one more match. Let me try and break this dude's ankle. Like, you know what I mean? Like this, he came, like, honestly, if you told me that we were doing a story about how I went to Everest to die and I didn't, now I think I'm immortal and I'm pissed because I want to die. And now he's just trying to piss off anybody he possibly can so they will kill him in the ring. Like, if that was the story we were telling, I'd be like, actually, it makes sense because look at what you've actually booked him and written him to do. But no, he's this baby face that everybody loves while he's spitting on people. Like, this needs to end. This whole thing with Darby needs to end. You got to figure out a different way of using him. You cannot have him get one over on every heel faction out there just because you like skateboarding. I don't know, but like, this doesn't work.
No, because he's outside of you is a wildly popular babyface in this company.
But you're not even writing him to be that anymore. You're not even writing to be like to. And
they
also,
left him in the desert, Alex.
That was too. Anyway, left him in the desert, and he got out of the body bag in the desert in time to attend the Super Bowl. He was fine. Here's the thing. You are cutting the legs out from you cannot keep, and they do this often in AEW. You cut the legs out from under all of these heels. You are billing the Dogs as this vicious new heel faction, and they can't handle Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, and Roderick Strong. Well, then they're done. They're washed. Forget about it. They're at the bottom of the mid card now. You didn't have to do that. You can have them win this, or at least get their friggin' heat back. They didn't even get their heat back. Like, Darby spits on Gabe Kidd, and Gabe Kidd rips the zip tie off and beats the hell out of him to get his heat back. Nothing. You book these guys to lose, and then they don't even get their heat back. That is indefensible. I don't care how much you like Darby Allin. It's indefensible.
They're doing Darby and Gabe in a casket match on Dynamite. Because we're running this back again. I agree with you. First of all, I had a lot of fun with the actual match. Like, that's why I'm so much more annoyed about the ending. Was I actually really liked a lot of this match. I thought it was very fun. Roddy Strong is the best. Like, he's been consistently such a phenomenal worker for so long. Like, I just have, every time I'm watching Roddy Strong wrestle, I'm like, he makes me love professional wrestling watching Roddy Strong wrestle. Like, he makes me love the in-ring part of wrestling just because of the way he does what he does so much. Like, and the fact that he still does it at this level is like such an awesome thing. I thought it was not the best choice to have him kind of little bro David Finlay right when he shows up, and then tonight I thought sucked. Like, I thought that was a really, really bad decision, and I felt like the Dogs should be next in line for the trios titles. Like, I'm not saying they should win it next week, but this is not how you introduce, and it's not just introducing a new heel faction, it's introducing this heel faction,
yes.
New Japan lore or not, like, this stems from the frickin' Bullet Club. Yeah. Like, you owe it to wrestling fans to, like, have a little bit of respect on the way people come in. And I was actually talking about this with a friend tonight. Brian Alvarez also has been on this kick of, like, AEW is not good at recapping stuff at all on their weekly episodic program. If you're like, maybe I'll check out this pay-per-view, and you watch that go home, it's a blast if you already know what's going on. If you don't know what's going on, you're like, who are all these guys? 90% of them have a title. This is overwhelming. I agree with the criticism. But today it was like, I was talking to my friend, and he was saying it's just disappointing of, like, you couldn't have done vignettes for David Finlay. You couldn't have talked about his heritage. You couldn't have talked about him being a Bullet Club leader. Like, all of these things, and then he just gets hit hard by Roddy Strong, which I don't think there's a ton of shame in, but I just wouldn't do it right when the guy shows up. And now this is bad. And for a trios division that so badly needs A, formidable teams, and B, a team that actually feels like a trio and not a guy who's backing up a champion, which, by the way, is still what Mystico is. He's just not an AEW champion,
exactly.
but he's still a world champion.
Yeah.
Is like, this was the decision that I hated most on the card, because I don't think there's a way to, like, Takeshita I didn't like either, but I'm like, maybe there's plans for that because that's been running so long or whatever.
Right.
Like, all the other ones I'm a little bit more open about, because I'm like, there's at least ambiguity around. This I felt like just made everybody look bad. And I also just on principle hate when an amalgamation of guys just beats an actual honest to God tag team or trio. I hate that across the board. Like, if you're just a guy and his friend and you beat a tag team who's supposed to be in this particular space in this art form, I hate that. And I feel like they did a terrible job with this tonight. This is the one thing that I was like, the meme of the coach taking off his headphones, that was this ending to me.
Clark Connors, I'm a big fan of Clark Connors spearing Darby through the ropes to the outside was amazing.
Therapeutic for you.
No, yeah, except I know that Darby's going to get up and his team's going to win eventually. Like, it's so disheartening. Every time I see him get beat up, I know that it's going to have no effect on him long term. And so yes, the Mystico and Jet Speed only winning the trios titles only made sense to me because a thing that I said on Wednesday was you need to belt up the dogs as the trios champs sooner rather than later. I don't know what babyface team is going to beat the Don Callis family. I don't think it's going to be this weekend, but it's going to be soon. Whatever team that is needs to lose to the dogs forthwith. Toot sweet. Almost immediately. And then you have the dogs really make the trios titles into something. You know who you feud them with long term? You have the dogs beat them in their first match, and then 6 months later, those guys get another shot, another feud, and then they win. The Rascals. You get the Rascals versus the Dogs. That is a trios feud to make the trios division feel different than the tag division plus a guy. You need to actually make that happen. So when Mystico and Jet Speed won, when it felt like you were just playing Mad Libs, putting a tag team with a singles guy, and then they won the tag, I was like, okay, that makes sense, because later tonight, we're going to see the Dogs win handily against the team of Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, and Roderick Strong, and that is going to catalyze Roderick Strong turning heel and joining them, and then Kyle O'Reilly is going to come back and do it too, and that's 5. That's 5. You know how many that is? That's 5. That's the Dogs now, plus Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, which is the exact right amount you need when Jay White comes back, because that's the entirety of the Bang Bang Gang, including Ace Austin, is 5. When Colton Gunn gets healthy, that's 5 on 5. That is, what is that? An Anarchy in the Arena match that I will say to you, shut up and take my money. But they never, ever fucking book the things that I want. And we started out by not even having the Dogs beat Darby and OC and Roderick Strong. They didn't even have them do that. So, like, how are they going to get in position to beat the new team of Jet Speed and Mystico? They're not. They're not.
Which isn't even a team. Like, that's where I keep going back to, is like the Dogs feel like an actual honest to God trio, and that like all of them are the leader and none of them are the leader. Like, I love groups like that, as opposed to some guys backing up a champion. Like, it just gets very, very old.
Okay. Texas Deathmatch, 46 and a half minutes. MJF beat Hangman Page. The two men exploded and then wrestled for 5 more minutes.
Yeah. Two men exploded and then wrestled for 5 more minutes. I love wrestling. Everything you said is true.
So they went into this match with the only possible true outcome being one that is terrible. This is the most damned if you do, damned if you don't match. Big match for AEW ever. Once they introduced the ludicrous, if you agree to a Texas death match, I will give up. Not even that. If you agree to a stipulation for our title match that I am already having, if you do that, I will voluntarily give up any future title shots at the world title. He did not do this to get a title shot. He already had the title shot. The match he could have he's already beaten MJF straight up before. He said, I need to do this in a Texas death match. But it wasn't, if you agree to a Texas death match, I will give you all of my future possible world championship title reigns in return. It wasn't that. It was, crucially, I'll pick a stipulation, you'll pick a stipulation, and then we'll decide which of the two stipulations it is. And if you would just agree to that stipulation, if you just agree to that stipulation, I will voluntarily give up all my future title reigns. That is a thing that is entirely unmotivated for Hangman to do. If MJF beat Hangman for the title and then says, you're never getting another shot at this. I know I blatantly cheated to beat you, but you're never getting another title shot at this. I have it written into the contract. You'll never get another one. You have to give me another one. Why? Why would I ever do that? Because if you do, I will give up all of my future title shots if you beat me again. That is a reason to beg for this stipulation and voluntarily include giving up all of your things. There was no reason for Hangman to do this. He did it anyway. And so because he did this, he has to lose. But in so losing, he gives up all of his further future title shots, unless they find some kind of loophole. And whenever they do it, I don't care if it's 10 years from now, I'm going to hate it. Because I don't think you should find loopholes around a stipulation like this, unless the guy is turning heel. And I don't ever want to see Hangman be the kind of heel who goes back on a promise he made to the crowd. Because when he was totally vicious as a heel, he was always a guy who told the truth. That is the one thing that makes Hangman, is he never lies to the fans. This was a Texas death match with all of the glass and light tubes and tables and chairs covered with barbed wire and a syringe in the cheek. All of those things that you could possibly have. Then there was a dog collar. It became a dog collar Texas death match, which is basically really a hat on a hat. But that's fine. It's okay, because then they exploded. They went off the stage into a bunch of pyro and exploded, but they were fine. They both got to their feet by the 9 count for that. They went back to the ring. There was other stuff that happened, but there was a nut shot, belt shot, and I was like, man, if this dude voluntarily put his entire career on the line and loses to nut shot, belt shot, I am never watching AEW ever again. But thankfully he kicked out of that. But then he says, okay, now I'm going to try and do a buckshot. But he gets thwarted by doing a buckshot because he milked it for the fans. MJF ran up, punched him in the face with the diamond ring, and then choked him out with the dog collar that he introduced into the match. Hubris. Undefeated, or at least it should be, but definitely was this week. There was just never a reason for Hangman to get himself involved in this at all. Volab saying, man, where do we go with Hanger from here? I have a few ideas, none of them good. But the best part of this match was after he fell asleep while being choked, because you can't actually, MJF could have just held onto that thing until the guy was dead, but he let him go. And when he fell off the apron to the outside, his bloody forehead connected with the lens of the camera. And Kuram says, friends, Getting that blood-soaked camera shot is something you could never truly script, at least not well. What a fantastic happenstance. Just screaming in the truck, "Don't move off camera too!" And it was an amazing shot, but it was the shot that portended the end of AEW as we know it.
I don't like this stipulation. I do trust they've just never, the one guy they've just like never really fully steered us wrong with was Hangman.
Yeah.
So I do hope that like if and when he gets back to the world title, it's done with a tremendous amount of like intent behind it. I have I'm not like mothers need to turn this off, but these are not my favorite types of matches. I felt like Hangman is always incredible in these. I was really impressed by MJF tonight. Like I felt
played
like
his part to a T.
Yeah, he did such a good job of this story of like being so out of his element, but he can't admit it for a second because one, he can't let his guard down, and two, if he does, it's over for him. Is like it was just really, really, really compelling stuff. Like I was so impressed by his ability to just like he's not normally in all of these elements. He hasn't experienced some of this before at all, and he didn't let any of it overpower telling the story. Like he was in it for every second of it. There was someone on Twitter who pointed out that like when he was bound, he was just screaming, not again, as a callback to the CM Punk match. Like all of that stuff was so good. And like, while I am not as bloodlusty as a lot of AEW fans are, what I do appreciate is these are never done for like shock spot after shock spot. Like there's always so much story nuance baked into these, and that makes it just even possible for me to watch because they're ultra violent weapons being used to tell the story, not like, look at this light tube. Look at, like these are the things that you hold carpets down with that I'm going to stick in your back for no reason. Like it's always motivated. There's oftentimes these nuances like we saw with the dog collar stuff. I just, for something that is not my wrestling wheelhouse at all, like I'm able to find these matches much more accessible because of those things. I can't watch the syringe spot. I hate the syringe spot. I'll never be able to watch the syringe spot. That's just a me thing. But I really thought I thought both men were incredible tonight. I expect that so much of Hangman because Texas Death is his match. I was really blown away by MJF's ability to stay in it when some of the stuff is not stuff he's ever done. And I think like I think he had like one deathmatch type thing in CZW that I remember seeing of in his catalog or whatever. But like, I was really, really impressed by his ability to not get distracted by the elements. Cause I felt like he really did play his part from bell to bell with this. Where does Hanger go from here? Probably to other titles. I was surprised that like it wasn't somebody costing him. I was surprised by like this match is set up to essentially let anything go, right? So the fact that it was as clean as a Texas death match could be, meaning like nobody interfered or anything, I was kind of surprised by that aspect. So yeah, this was, I can't say like for me, Andrade and Bandido was match of the night in ring. I can't even compare this to that, like, because it was just such a different animal. But I felt like it executed exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah. The syringe thing was odd because he went through the mouth and pierced the cheek going out, but all the way through. Like they had it in the 8K camera, like super close up. You could see the needle come through from the inside to the outside. And then MJF pointedly, I guess to use a pun, pushed down on the plunger, and we saw a liquid squirt out the end of the syringe. out, away, out, meaning not in. Like the only reason to me to use a syringe is if you've loaded it up with something to like make them groggy or whatever. Like poison would be a bit much, but like something to like make them like some kind of sedative. And if like honestly, like if you told me that the only reason that Hangman couldn't get to his feet is because he would have been injected with something that made him dizzy, disoriented, sleepy, groggy, could not stand up. And then you have MJF in the presser say, "You like that? You like that hanger? I learned it by watching you." When you jabbed Swerve in the cheek with syringe, I was like, that's a great idea. But I took it one step further. And I went to my guy, great little black market dealer, and I got this, and he names some chemical or whatever. And that, my friends, is why your legs stopped working 5 minutes after I injected you. If like it makes MJF smart. It also is another thing that if Hangman hadn't done it before, this never would have had. It was Hangman's fault. So I honestly would have loved it if they had actually used some kind of injection to, but we saw the thing just squirting out into the ether, like not doing anything to anybody. So I don't even know why you're pushing down the plunger. Anyway, what happens to Hangman? Well, people are saying this depressed Hangman is going to be great. I mean, sure, we've seen that a lot. Now he's going to be angry at himself because it was his own dumb idea for doing this. Do I think that will last us probably the rest of 2026? Yeah. Do I think 2027 could be a year of, if they ever get their act together and reunify the international and continental title back together and make it the 1A title. There is no way to make that title the 1A title more than to put it on Hangman and have him hold it for like a year, because he's had the world title twice, and both of those reigns were shorter than they should have been and less impactful than they should have been. So let him make that unified title into something real. I think you can do that. I think he could be a great TNT champion or whatever. Let him reform the tag team with him and Kenny Omega for one run as when Kenny's around. Kenny's part-time, but he comes back for like a 3-month run. Let him be the tag team again for a bit. There's some other stuff you could do. Let him and the Bucks be the trios champs for a couple of months as the Hung Bucks. You know, you could do other stuff. It just, to me, AEW is never more AEW than when we are all collectively rooting for Hangman to be the top champion. And you took that from us because it's not a possibility anymore unless you do some stupid loophole. And it's not going to be okay with me when you do the loophole. Not if, when you do the loophole, it's not going to be okay with me. I mean, Luis saying that if the stipulation is ever broken, it should only be if this version of Swerve wins back the belt. But like, he's progressing pretty quickly toward that title. And I don't think we should ever have Hangman do this until like 2030. Like, that's as early as we should ever have this thing happen. Let him figure out what he's doing for the next few years. But like, we should not be going back on our word anytime soon. Years should pass.
There's also, like, outside of having kids, I don't think Heyman's taking a break. Like, I want to be aware too of, like, physically, maybe he just needs a break, mentally, emotionally, maybe he just needs a break. So, like, if this is a way to maybe write him off for a little bit and then he sets his sights on something, that could be really cool too. It's wrestling. I'm open to the possibilities that it presents. I don't want it to be cheap. I don't want it to be sneaky. I want Hangman to still be someone of his word if and when he does get back there. I think I personally I agree with you, and I also am ready to move on. Like, I do feel like AEW is at its purest form when we're rooting for Hangman to get back to the title. It also needs to evolve into other things because he's had like 22 title shots or something. I saw like he's had a lot of time around this title. And I one thing that I'm liking about this MJF reign so far is it needs breathing room with other people. And there's like we gotta start rotating other people in and out of this thing. So there's because this has been the case.
Yeah.
And we have so much stock invested in Hangman. I think it's time to go spread that wealth elsewhere. And I think other titles, title adjacent stories, whatever. I'm ready for those. I don't like hardline stipulations like this, but I do think like there's a lot of value in what they did as far as like if we're always rooting for him to get back to the title, there needs to be something very specific keeping us from doing that, and this accomplishes that. Also he just lost his trademark match, so there's going to be this whole other layer of it.
Oh yeah, no, there is a great story to be told of I did this to myself and I don't know where I go from here. That's really great. I just I worry about what they've on purpose taken away one of the things that makes AEW, which is we're all collectively rooting for Hangman to win this. Now you can do that with a mid-card title. You know what I mean? You can, but it is interesting to see where it will go from here. I also wanted to shout out the MJF intro video where he shows up he does a full Texas accent and shows up as a cowboy and
it is Terry Funk gear on too
and pisses on the grave of Hangman. I thought that was a cute little intro thing. I didn't even know Hangman was entering because he had a different entrance music, and usually
like Deadeye theme, right?
I don't know, but it wasn't the heel Hangman music, which I did like, and it wasn't his normal music. It was something else. So I wasn't watching; I was only listening, and I thought this was like a voiceover from because Alex Calibur was talking the entire time. I thought it was a voiceover for a video package, like a highlight reel with this music as the background. And then I looked up, and Hangman was already in the ring, and I was like, "Oh, that's a bad sign." Hangman does not usually win these matches when he pulls out some new thing. We want the Hangman music. That's part of the thing. But honestly, he shouldn't have won. He shouldn't have won. The karma of this needed to bite him in the ass, and it did. I just hope it didn't bite all of us in the ass as well. Bushin Ryu Cat says, you notice the camera angles, AEW's 4-ring intros. They did a lot of new production stuff. I don't know if that is for Revolution, if it's for pay-per-views, or if it's for everything. I don't know.
The quality of the camera was amazing. The amount of, I said it at the beginning of the show, of audience shots literally ruined parts of this for me. I was like, I do not need to see the pores on these people's forehead going. I felt like Kevin Dunn was producing this. It was awful.
It was very jarring. Some of the picks I thought were better. The ones where the people didn't know that they were being recorded were the best. The problem I have with it is
it a lot because there were some shocking things that happened.
I'm okay with it when the camera is far enough away from the person that they can't possibly know they're being filmed. There are some actually very good cutaways that WWE does to fans during matches. The cameras are way the hell away from them, zoomed in. You could tell this camera was right up in their face. And some people were like, I'm on camera. I don't know what to do with my hands. You know what I mean?
I was like, I want to watch the match, not watch these people watch the match. What the hell are we doing? Did not like it.
No, it wasn't great, and it was very jarring because they had never done it before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was not. Yeah. Thanks everybody for hanging out. We got it down under
Brady's
3
all
hours.
elite. A lot happened tonight.
Yeah, we got it down under 3 hours, which is new for us.
That is on the 13 match card.
And we apparently Sean is thinking about running from the grind permanently. So you might see us back doing these more often. I don't know. We'll see.
Is that what you heard?
That is what I heard.
I heard this is what I want to do. He can't do this to me twice. He did with SmackDown where he was like, I'm just going to not tell Kate that I'm never coming back. I have a different Wednesday show. He needs to let me know things. I always have fun talking All Elite Wrestling with you guys, though. I always have fun with Alex. Happy to fill in where I can, especially when Sean's got early flights and these are late shows. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. I'm glad everybody seems to have enjoyed a lot of this pay-per-view because they were on a hell of a run going into this of Dynamite. So hopefully we keep good momentum going coming out of this.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We will see you the next time we do one of these, which will, who knows? But until then, thanks. And we'll see you again.